exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air. Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. David in for Ian today. Hello, David.
What's going on, guys?
Absolutely nothing. Why do you say guys? Who's the guys? Are you the guys?
Everyone else is the guys. All the listeners, they're the guys.
They're the guys? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good to have David in once again. So it's crazy. We live this day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second. We're just sitting here waiting to see what DeAndre Hopkins is going to do.
This is DeAndre Watch 2023.
Mike Lombardi, one of my general managers, former NFL general manager, Mike Lombardi, on his podcast, The GM Shuffle, talking about what is next for DeAndre Hopkins. Now, I will want to preface it with this. I have spent the last 2 nights doing Sirius XM very, very late at night. In fact, I feel like I'm living on Pacific time because I've been waking up at like 10 a.m. in the morning now. But nobody wants to talk about DeAndre Hopkins to the Titans. They do not want to talk about it on ESPN. They do not want to talk about it on Fox. They do not want to talk about it on Sirius. They do not want to talk about it anywhere. They do not. The Patriots, okay, they could live with that. All these other teams, the Chiefs and the Bills and they can talk about that. But when it comes to the Titans, it's like, oh, no, not DeAndre. There's no way he's going to go there. So Mike Lombardi, former NFL general manager, on his podcast, The GM Shuffle, said this.
Do you think that we get this third team that gets into the fray here, or is it just going to come down to New England or Tennessee, and he's pretty much waiting until training camp to sign?
Oh, I think there's more than 1-2 teams in it. I just don't think the third team's going to pay. I mean, I could see Buffalo being in it. I could see Kansas City being in it. I could see any team that wants to get a bargain for a slot receiver in it, but I don't think they're going to get the market to drive it up. You know, and I think he's going to have to rely on a receiver getting injured or a team becoming desperate. I think the only team he'll get more money out of will be Tennessee, because Tennessee certainly could use him. They need him. They don't have enough skill, they don't have enough explosiveness offensively. They certainly could use him.
And then he said that he thinks Tennessee will ultimately make the stretch for DeAndre Hopkins.
Mike Reese is reporting that the Titans have been, quote, more aggressive to this point. So that goes in line with what you've been saying, that Tennessee could be the team that has the urgency to go ahead and sign him there. If you had your best guess, do you think he ends up in Tennessee, or does he go to New England, or you think Tennessee is where he goes?
My guess is it's going to be Tennessee, because I think Tennessee will pay. I think Tennessee will stretch a little bit here.
Okay. Now, years ago, it was either Derek or Chris. I can't remember. I love them both, and so did Floyd. But years ago, I heard something that they said. One of them said something crazy. You know, I love both guys, but you know, sometimes those guys say some crazy things. And it was during a break. I said to Floyd, I go, Floyd, I heard Derek or Chris, I can't remember who. I heard Derek say something crazy today, and I almost drove my car off the interstate. Floyd said, oh, yeah, players sometimes, they don't, it's a different thing than it is for GMs. Now, at the same time, whenever we would say Mike Lombardi says, Floyd would always chuckle and say, okay, Mike. So keep that in mind. But Mike Lombardi says he thinks DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Tennessee Titan. Guys, I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Tennessee Titan too. And I have said that over the 6 weeks we've been doing this, it's almost like one of those win probability charts that they have for these games, where in the fourth inning, it's 73% Houston, and then by the sixth inning, after a big hit, it goes back to 50%, and then in the eighth inning, it's actually 45% New York. That's how I felt about DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins was released by Arizona. I didn't think the Titans were going to get DeAndre. Then the Titans were the first team that was announced to be hosting a visit for DeAndre Hopkins. And I thought, maybe Maybe they get DeAndre. Then DeAndre left without a contract, and it dropped. Then DeAndre went to New England, and everybody talked about New England this, New England that. Oh, he's going to New England, and he posted the photo with Matthew Judon, and then I felt kind of bad. Then TD said that the Titans are confident that DeAndre Hopkins is ultimately going to sign with them. And that made me feel good because I have a pretty good idea who TD talks to over there. And so if TD says that they're feeling confident, then that makes me feel confident that they're going to sign him. Then a couple of weeks went by, and it was just crickets. And there was all this talk and all this reporting about, oh, he loves Belichick. He would love to play for Belichick. Patriots, 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 Chiefs, Patriots, Patriots, Patriots. And then I started to kind of feel like it wasn't going to happen. Then it's a little 50-50 on DeAndre. Then the Mike Reese report came out, and they said that the Titans' offer was more aggressive than New England's. That was a big step in the right direction. We know money matters to DeAndre Hopkins. Yesterday, a Jeff Darlington quote from the Rich Eisen show, which said, Buffalo would be interested if DeAndre was willing to ring chase and take less money, was posted on Instagram, and DeAndre put 2 cows and 2 piles of crap next to one another. You can come up with what you think he meant by that. DeAndre is not interested in taking no money. DeAndre wants to get paid now. Like, there's no way around it. And you've offered the most money. And Mike Lombardi is saying he thinks Tennessee's going to get DeAndre Hopkins because they will go the extra mile to get DeAndre, whereas all these other teams, Mike Florio reported yesterday, Buffalo wants DeAndre at their price. Albert Breer reported a couple of weeks ago, the Patriots want DeAndre, but they want that deal done on Bills terms. There's no such thing as a perfect fit. I've never, ever seen a situation where a team ends up getting a player who fits exactly what they need, and they don't have to do something painful in order to acquire that player. Joe Burrow, for instance, the Bengals had to lose a lot of games in order to get Joe Burrow. I've never seen a situation where people are negotiating and everybody gets what they want, and it's not a one-sided deal. I'm sure DeAndre would love to play for Kansas City and play for Kansas City at his price at the $15 million that Odell Beckham signed for, maybe a little bit less. But that's not on the table. It's not on the table from Buffalo. So DeAndre is sitting there and waiting for the perfect situation to pop onto the table. And I think we can all agree the Titans may not be the perfect situation. Now, I actually think the Titans are a better situation for DeAndre than almost anybody is giving them credit for, simply because of the lack of targets for the other players. I think means that there will be more targets for DeAndre. He's really only got to share targets with Okonkwo and Burks. That's it. And so he'll get the ball here. He ends up going to Dallas. He's going to be splitting targets with CeeDee Lamb, who's a number 1 receiver and going to be paid like it, and Brandon Cooks, who's really good. Here, Nick Westbrook-Akina is not taking away from DeAndre Hopkins' target. So I actually think that this would be a pretty good deal for DeAndre here, but most people think that this is a bad fit for DeAndre. Most people think that this is crazy. It's Tannehill. He stinks. How could they be wanting to do that? How could they? But this goes back to what TD reported 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's been so long I can't even remember. And that was the Titans being confident that they were going to sign Hopkins. Now, we're going to see if this works, because I do feel like the Titans do not have a plan B here. And they need him. And they know they need him. But I think what the Titans have done, and this is exactly what Lombardi is hinting at, they've given DeAndre an offer that they don't think another team in the league will match, period. We've talked about the taxes that the Titans are going to have to pay because They're not the Cowboys. They're not in New York or Los Angeles or some big market city. They're not a famous franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm sure DeAndre Hopkins never grew up wanting to play for the Tennessee Titans. So there's a tax that comes with being the Titans. I think there's also a tax that the Titans are going to have to pay because Ryan Tannehill's the quarterback, and for some reason everybody thinks Ryan Tannehill sucks, and that there's no nuance into where Tannehill really belongs in terms of the pantheon of NFL quarterbacks. It's just Tannehill. So because they don't have Aaron Rodgers, because they don't have Joe Burrow, because they don't have Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson, who I think everybody thinks is better than he actually is, because they don't have that quarterback, they're going to have to pay a tax. And so the way it sounds to me, just by following the tea leaves, is that the Titans have made an offer that is not only better than what anybody else is willing to offer, but also probably has those taxes built in, and they know that nobody else is going to offer that kind of money. That's what I think this is. That they know that nobody else, the offer that they've given DeAndre Hopkins, nobody else is going to match. And that's probably why they're confident. And that's exactly what Mike Lombardi said when he says Tennessee is going to stretch further than anybody else. And DeAndre is saying, when he's commenting bullcrap on the idea of ring chasing with the Bills, DeAndre saying, I am not going to take a pay cut to go to a team to try to win a championship over being paid what he thinks would be a respectable wage. So as I said, this whole time, I've been just up and down with my feelings about whether or not the Titans are going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to tell you right now, I think they're going to sign him. At this point, I think I'd be shocked if they didn't sign DeAndre Hopkins. So I think they're going to sign him, and I'm already starting to pencil in my head that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be on this football team. And it's not just what Lombardi said, but it is what Lombardi said. It is what TD said. It is what Mike Reese reported. It is the fact that DeAndre's been sitting on his couch waiting for somebody else to come in and make an offer, and I just don't think that offer exists in the league. People keep talking about Chris Jones. If Chris Jones signs a contract extension, then that will open up money for Kansas City to sign DeAndre Hopkins. If that was the case, then wouldn't Kansas City be working harder to sign Chris Jones so they can fit in DeAndre Hopkins? Wouldn't they have signed Chris Jones already? I mean, the only reason that they're taking time is because they want to hold out for the best possible deal, and the way to do that is to wait until the deadline. But if you're desperate to get Chris Jones extended so that you can then sign DeAndre Hopkins, well, then I'd hurry my ass up if I was Kansas City, and I'd sign Chris Jones. But they're not. They're not. So I got to tell you, today, David, I want you to leave something. When Ian's out, do you, in Ian's place, do you like put together like a rundown of what we talked about and then send it off to Ian, or send it off to Chase or anything like that?
I do not, no.
I want you to leave a note for Ian right here.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
I'm calling it. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm calling it, which is one step short of guaranteeing it. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Tennessee Titan. Today, I'm calling it. Just like if we were the decision desk at the NBC election headquarters and we are calling the state, I am calling it. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan. We just put it down right now, leave it there, because Ian's got the list of our guarantees and our calls. This is not a guarantee, this is a call, but I'm calling it. DeAndre is going to be a Titan.
Noted.
Titans have made the better offer than the Patriots. They're the only two teams that have made real offers. So they made the best offer. Mike Lombardi thinks they're coming here because he thinks they have the most money, at least to offer DeAndre. The Bills, not interested unless DeAndre drops the price. The Chiefs, not interested unless DeAndre drops the price, though I think that ship has sailed. The Patriots deal, according to Albert Breer, has to be done on Bill's terms, and it says the Titans deal is better. TD has said the Titans are confident. Now I see why. Lombardi thinks he's going to be a Titan. I'm calling it. DeAndre Hopkins will be a Tennessee Titan. And I am going to start acting, going forward, as if DeAndre Hopkins is the number 2 receiver of the Tennessee Titans. And boy, am I setting myself up for just a massive heartbreak if it doesn't happen. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025 here on the program. We'll get your thoughts on this. Again, Lombardi thinks he's going to be a Titan. The Titans think he's going to be a Titan. Jared thinks he's going to be a Titan. Now, there's all this talk about DeAndre waiting. Because, look, this is a business. DeAndre's probably waiting for the best deal for DeAndre, and I cannot begrudge DeAndre Hopkins for doing that. But I do wonder if there is a deadline when it comes to these negotiations with the Titans and DeAndre Hopkins. And should there be? 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company. Right here, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. PhD weight loss. I absolutely love PhD weight loss. I have now knocked through the 20-pound mark, and I just keeps, it's the simplest way I've ever lost weight in my life. You know, they give you the meal plan. They give you 85% of the food. They give you a coach who, helps you, motivates you, adjusts the meal plan for you, the nutritionist. You go over all of it. It's great. Honestly, I am having so much fun doing this. I was even thinking about this earlier today on my drive in about, I love pizza as much as probably anybody else, and I really haven't eaten it at all over like the last 8 weeks or so. And it's not so much of the, I can't have it, but it's more so the, hey, I'm glad that I'm not eating it kind of thing. I just feel so much more in control. And I know a lot of people like me, apparently Zion Williamson, and other people out there really struggle with the idea of, really controlling their weight. And that's where PhD weight loss has done for me, is it's allowed me a sense of control. And so it hasn't overwhelmed my life, but it's actually enhanced it. And, again, I've been on vacation. I've been on 3 vacations while I've been doing this, and I've already lost 20 pounds. So imagine what it would be like if I was doing this in January or February or something like that, where I wasn't going to the beach. And they've got a guarantee at myphdweightloss.com. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers organization and fans, and they're online at myphdweightloss.com.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
In any work environment, the culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. And this month at Cromwell Media, we want to highlight a few people who are celebrating their anniversaries with us. Morning show producer on 102.5 The Game, Nick Keyser, is celebrating 2 years. 102.9 The Buzz hosts, Eric Steele and Andy Herring, are celebrating 9 years. Sports producer Kenny Adams is celebrating 11 years. And Derek Mason, one of the greatest receivers in Titans history, is celebrating his anniversary with us on 102.5 The Game as well. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, and like us on Facebook, too. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Is there another team that may be in the wings or in the weeds a little bit, waiting to see how this Hopkins thing plays out?
I don't know that, Mark. I think, again, he has been fairly vocal about the fact that, there's certain quarterbacks he has wanted to play with. He is the one that listed, I believe, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and somebody else. Like, there were 5 Justin Herbert, maybe. He rattled off 5 quarterbacks that he wanted to play with. And we also know he visited the 2 places he did. Is there another team that is lurking out there? That's always possible. I haven't heard of one. I don't know of any teams lurking that we haven't heard linked to him. I know Cleveland's come up. I don't expect Cleveland to be the landing spot for DeAndre Hopkins ultimately in the end. But, again, it's also July 7th, and there's still situations that will unfold that maybe we can't see right now.
Shefty last week, hey, is there a mystery team out there in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes, Shefty, that you're hearing of that could be lurking? Could it be the Giants? Could it be the Browns? Could it be the Panthers? Could it be the... And Shefty, I haven't heard that. Now, it's early. I haven't heard that. That was last week, July 7th. But Shefty hasn't heard about the mystery team. And let me say this. I do not think there's a mystery team out there. I have been racking my head almost team by team by team in the NFL. And I've been thinking about, for instance, all the teams that could use DeAndre Hopkins. But are they really willing to pay DeAndre Hopkins? Kansas City's not. Cincinnati doesn't need DeAndre Hopkins. Baltimore doesn't need DeAndre Hopkins. San Francisco doesn't need DeAndre Hopkins. Philadelphia doesn't need DeAndre Hopkins. At this point in the year, there's only a few spots that need him. The Chargers don't need DeAndre Hopkins. How many teams need him? You're the one team that desperately needs him, and that's why you've offered the most money. So I just don't think that there's a market out there, and he can wait and wait and wait and wait. And unless Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle pops an ACL in training camp, I'm not sure there will be a market for him outside of the 2 teams that have shown interest in him with the Titans and the Patriots. But here's the one thing that just stands in my mind. While I think he's going to be a Titan, there's just one thing in my mind that I think this could be, regardless of whether or not it's accurate or true, this could be what's holding it all back. So Kirk Morrison's a former NFL player. He's on SiriusXM NFL radio, and he was on my SiriusXM show last night. And I asked him, about, hey, the 2 spots for DeAndre, where do you think? This, that, the other. And Kirk Morrison said something. Now, he's a former player. He's in the media, but he's a former player. He said something that I think a lot of people think that I don't necessarily think is true. But just because it's not true doesn't mean that DeAndre might not think it.
He's trying to find the best fit for 1 year. I don't believe it's Tennessee. I don't believe it's New England. Yes, they've thrown out offers. They've been publicly, it's been publicly rumored and sourced. But is that really the best place for DeAndre Hopkins? I don't think so. Tennessee, you please tell me, do you have faith in Ryan Tannehill and DeAndre Hopkins, or are you putting faith in the young rookie, Will Levis?
I think that's probably, if there's anything that stops this from happening, it's that. You got a 1-year prove-it deal to set your value. You really putting it in Tannehill? To which I would say, who else are you going to put it into? Dak Prescott's team doesn't want you. Lamar Jackson's team doesn't want you. Justin Herbert's team doesn't want you. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes' team doesn't want to pay you any money. You already talked to them. So how many other spots do you have to choose from? This idea of, you think Ryan Tannehill is really going to shape DeAndre Hopkins' career? What is it we always say on this show? Beggars cannot be choosers. That's why I'm so invested in DeAndre Hopkins to begin with, because the Titans don't have a second starting wide receiver, and they need one. And so I'm pushing all my hopes into the middle for DeAndre because he's the only guy who's out there, and I think they freaking need him. And it's because beggars can't be choosers. And that's why the Titans have had to offer the most money. The Titans spent no money in free agency. The only legitimate contract that they did was the deal for Arden Key. And even then, Key is a career-ish backup. Now, I think Key's a pretty good player. But he's a career-ish backup, and they signed him to a real deal. Andre Dillard got prove-it money for a left tackle. Daniel Brunskill got tweener money. Aaron Brewer, they're paying way too much money to, but that wasn't a deal. That was just an RFA tender. So the Titans go super cheap when it comes to free agency. They told everybody, we don't have any money. And now they're splurging on DeAndre Hopkins because beggars can't be choosers. And DeAndre, I think, is, at the point right now where he wants to choose, but I think he's learning that beggars can't be choosers. And so the only thing that I think could derail this, I think it's silly to think that Mac Jones and the Patriots, given their division and given how many other receivers and tight ends are already on the roster, would be a better fit for DeAndre than Ryan Tannehill, a veteran who has won playoff games. I think it's crazy to think that situation is better than this. But, again, Kirk Morrison, he's no dummy. He played the game. He's just sitting there like, Tannehill and Levis. And I do think the Titans probably hurt themselves some and how they never wanted to commit to Tannehill during the offseason, and they've tried to replace him the last 2 years. And Tannehill's done some damage to himself as well with the bad playoff performance against the Ravens and the bad playoff performance, obviously, against the Bengals. But the only thing I think that could slow this down is if DeAndre just doesn't want to play with Tannehill. Like, if DeAndre just looks at it and says, I do not want to play with Tannehill, that's it. I think that's the only thing that could hold this back. And I just don't think Tannehill's that bad. If I had my choice, all things equal, Tannehill or Burrow, of course I'm going to take Burrow, but they're not equal, and Burrow's team doesn't want him. 615-737-1025. We'll get to some of your phones. Plus, is there an unofficial or an official deadline as far as this is concerned? We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Rebound, fly out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. They sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $15,720. We sell them for $6,900. Their 3.08 carat lab-grown round diamond with G-Color VS2 clarity is $10,045. We sell it for $5,900. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared. Want to tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller is keeping you chilling all summer with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy this summer. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. When you purchase a select new HVAC system, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Panga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
Hey y'all, it's Caroline Fenton, and I want to tell you about my friends over at 312 Pizza Company. 312 Pizza is my favorite place in town. It's family owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style, always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open every day except for Tuesday and is located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 or head to 312pizzaco.com to order. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I see where Hopkins is trying to hold tight. Like he's like, hey, look, I'm gonna get my money. Like, you guys can keep trying to pay me, 8, 9, 10, whatever it is. I want my 13, 14, 15. And so that's why I think he's fighting for what he feels like he deserves. And, again, he's not missing anything anyway. So you might as well sit out there and kind of see what the market brings. And even if you sit out for a couple weeks into the training camp, you can do that, knowing that you still have two clubs that are still trying to figure out how to fit you in and might continue to start to, bend a little bit, if not break, and say, you know what, let's do it.
There you go. That was Mark Dominic saying, hey, he's not missing anything right now. So let's wait it out and see where it goes on the DeAndre Hopkins front, which is what a lot of people are saying. He's got time. Wait it out. Let's see. And I would agree. There's no difference between signing today on, what is today, the 12th? July 12th. There's no difference between signing today on July 12th and signing next Wednesday, the 19th. There's no difference between signing the 12th and signing the 21st. But there is a difference between signing the 12th and signing the 25th, because that's when training camp starts. And I do wonder, we do know who the coach is of the Titans. And so for a lot of people, it'd be very easy to say, and the Titans can't force DeAndre Hopkins to do anything, and the Titans also put them in the situation of not having a second wide receiver, so they have nobody to blame but themselves for that. But I can't imagine that Mike Vrabel isn't looking at the start of training camp as at least some sort of deadline on the DeAndre Hopkins front. And I think there's two reasons for this. The first reason is because Mike Vrabel is a tough, physical, everybody pulls the rope the same way kind of coach. He's not one of these Kyle Shanahans or these Sean McVays, the offensive guru that, hey, just get me the guy and I'll dial up 98 springboard double Y zig queen throwback. And it'll work. That's not, no. That's not how Vrabel operates. The other thing is, on two separate occasions, the Titans have paid a somewhat hefty price for an aging veteran player. Now, I'll argue that Jadeveon Clowney was never the type of player that DeAndre Hopkins was. I mean, with Clowney, it was always about making excuses for why he didn't get more sacks. Hopkins has the production. But between Clowney and Julio Jones, one thing that involved both guys was they missed significant portions, or in the case of Clowney, all of training camp. And I do wonder if that bothers Vrabel. Just what I know of Belichick, I'm sure Belichick would not like DeAndre not practicing. So when it comes to, oh, well, DeAndre's got all the time in the world. If the Titans have made the best offer in the league, and they don't think that there's a chance that Buffalo or Kansas City or anybody like that is even going to get close, and it doesn't feel like those teams have gotten close, then I think the Titans can tell DeAndre Hopkins, like, hey, dude, we want you here on training camp. That's the tax we're paying. We're offering you $12 million. We want you here at training camp. And I want him at training camp because I think he needs to develop chemistry with Tannehill. I think he needs to know where he's going to be living so he can get all that figured out. I don't need him to play in a preseason game, but I need him to be here. And with Clowney, he was out of shape when he showed up. With Julio, he was on the team, but he got hurt. And so when he got hurt, I think that, after he got hurt, I think that there was he missed all that training camp time and just never really got in sync with Tannehill. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. I will get to your phones in a second. This is from Bleacher Report Betting. According to the DraftKings Sportsbook, yesterday, DeAndre Hopkins was plus 500 to be a Titan. Now DeAndre Hopkins is minus 300. Now look, I know this is a very influential program. Was it the Stillman and Company show? The 2 o'clock segment?
Had to be.
The calling it that he was going to be a Titan, and then all of a sudden now DeAndre's minus 300. Did we do that? Did we do that today? Plus 500 yesterday? And I have never at any point in this DeAndre sweepstakes, because I have been very open and honest with you all about my feelings, about how I have been just flailing in the wind as far as what I think is going to happen with DeAndre. Some days I roll out of bed, think he's going to be a Titan. Some days I roll out of bed, think he's going to be a Patriot. But I have not yet, up until, 12 minutes ago, stuck my flag in the ground and said, I'm calling it he's going to be a Titan. Now I call it he's going to be a Titan, and the odds shift from plus 500 yesterday to minus 300 today. I'm just saying. And if you could not pick up on the sarcasm and all of that, then I can't help you. But I'm just saying. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Indy Ben. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Indy Ben says, it doesn't seem like Hopkins really wants to play for the Titans. Why else would he be waiting this long to sign with the Titans? Do you really think it's a good thing if they sign someone who really doesn't want to be here? Which is a very fair question coming from Indy Ben. Here's what I think about a player like Hopkins. I think Hopkins is a mercenary. Just like how I think Nick Saban. I don't think Nick Saban is one of these guys who's a Alabama guy through and through, and that crimson shirt that he wears means the world to him. I think Alabama pays the bills, so he'll coach his ass off for Alabama. And the second Alabama stops paying the bills or somebody else starts paying the bills more, then he'll start coaching his ass off for that team. That's what I think when it comes to DeAndre. It reminds me of Darrelle Revis, which was Darrelle Revis didn't care who he played for. He didn't care if it was the Jets, Tampa Bay, New England, the Jets again. It didn't matter. Just write me a check and put me on the receiver, and I'll be fine. That's what I think DeAndre is. I think it doesn't matter. Now, to the first point Indy Ben made about thinking that DeAndre doesn't really want to be here, I agree. I'm not convinced DeAndre wants to be here either. But there's just, again, beggars cannot be choosers. This isn't like a 5-star recruit in college football who's got offers from Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and USC, and it's like, hey, Arch Manning, you can go to whatever school you want to go to. There's just not a lot of options, especially at this point in the year. Texter says, I think DeAndre will wait 2 to 3 weeks into training camp before signing, just in case one of the injuries happens to a franchise that is not cash-strapped. And are you going to go to the season opener? Booking flights and tickets tomorrow. Can't wait. I have given a lot of thought. I think it's one of those things where, like, we've talked about going to New Orleans, and I think everybody's on board with going to New Orleans, but we actually haven't done anything that would equal us going to New Orleans. That's really, all I got there. Boy, the texts are just flying in right now. Texter into the text line says, Indy Ben has a lot of hatred for the Titans because of what has happened to his Colts lately. All I want from Indy Ben, what I want from Indy Ben is the same thing I want from the Predators. I just want you to admit that I was right. I was right about Carson Wentz. I was right about Matt Ryan. I was right about Frank Reich. Now, look, I didn't think you guys would suck so bad that you're picking fourth. But this time last year, the way everybody talks about Jacksonville right now, Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, was the exact same way they were talking about the Colts last year, and this show was having none of that. So that's all I really want from Indy Ben. It's just the admittance that I was right, which is the same thing I want from the Predators. Just an admittance I was right. I was right about the coach. I was right about the direction of the franchise. I was right. You were wrong. I was right, Indy Ben. You were wrong. It's okay. Just admit it. I'm the one who has to say I'm wrong all the time. Mike is up next. Has been waiting patiently. Thank you for calling. What's up, Mike?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. The whole idea of DeAndre Hopkins doesn't want to be here, and that means he's not going to sign here. If that were the case, then every single free agent for the last 20 years every single one of them would have gone to New England with Tom Brady. Every single one would be going to Kansas City now. And obviously that just can't happen because that's not how the league works. It's not like the NBA where you can basically, where Damian Lillard can say, I want to go to Miami and I'm not going to have anything else to do with it. I'm not going to say that's the best way for things to play out because honestly I think that's partially why the NBA is failing. But the NFL is just not that simple. You can't just say, well, I want to play with Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Josh Allen, and it's going to happen like that because if that were the case, then it would be like baseball where the big market teams just get everybody and the small market teams just suffer.
So here's what I would say. Thank you for your call, Mike. Here's what I would say to that is, and I do wonder if this is kind of clouding, DeAndre's issue or whatever, is the idea that I feel like, what happened with Deshaun, where Deshaun had all these teams wanting him to, that was the one time that it happened. And he saw it. It's like, well, why is that not happening for me? And it's just that's not how this league works. 615-737-1025, more of your phones. Chris Sanders is going to join us next on the program. We'll get his thoughts. The latest on the DeAndre watch. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's going down. They fight.
Jared, you're
how do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that,
how do you know that, though? How do you know that?
But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m., Jared Stillman and Joe Rexroad debate the big topics in sports. Jared versus Joe. Presented by Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
It's Black Friday in July at Electronic Express. Get up to 50% off in every department. Don't miss a TCL 65-inch Roku TV for only $349 or an LG laundry pair for just $499 each. Save on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, and more. Get an Acer Aspire laptop for just $199 or a Ring Video doorbell for only $149. Get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
On July 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee, 4 men will compete in one boxing ring. Only one winner will be declared. Who will be the last man standing in the first ever Survivor Tag? KSI's Misfits Boxing is coming to Nashville. That's right, Misfits and DAZN are bringing Misfits 008 to the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, including some of the biggest names in the crossover and celebrity boxing space. The night will be packed full of action, including the first ever tag team boxing match in the U.S. Fighters on the night include gun expert Brandon Herrera, fan favorite B-Dave, political activist Alex Stein, chart-topping rapper Swarms, lightweight champion Dean the Great, former BKFC champion Alan Belcher versus Hasim Rahman Jr., and many, many more. Misfits 008 tickets are available now, starting at $20 from Ticketmaster.com.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Yeehaw, folks! Cowboy Clyde back, and I'm teaming up with Harness LLC to tell you about the Murray County Sheriff's Rodeo happening Friday and Saturday night. Kids under 11 are getting in free, with the first 100 of them getting a free cowboy hat. All proceeds go to help reserve deputy programs like Shop with a Cop and School Resource Officer programs to teach our youngins about the dangers of drugs, tobacco, and alcohol. Pony rides, a petting zoo, bareback bronc riding, steer wrestling, bull riding, and woo doggy, you'll have a great time with the family. So get your cowboy boots on and get ready for a good time that won't cost you a fortune. The Murray County Sheriff's Rodeo, just over yonder at the Murray County Park in Columbia. Friday and Saturday, gates open at 5:30, show starts at 8. If you need more info, go to MurrayCountySheriffsRodeo.com. That's MurraySheriffsRodeo.com. It's all brought to you by
Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day one of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You think that we get this third team that gets into the fray here, or is it just going to come down to New England or Tennessee and he's pretty much waiting until training camp to sign?
Oh, I think there's more than two teams in it. I just don't think the third team's going to pay. I mean, I could see Buffalo being in it. I could see Kansas City being in it. I could see any team that wants to get a bargain for a slot receiver in it. But I don't think they're going to get the market to drive it up. You know, and I think he's going to have to rely on a receiver getting injured or a team becoming desperate. I think the only team he'll get more money out of will be Tennessee, because Tennessee certainly could use him. They need him. They don't have enough skill, they don't have enough explosiveness offensively. They certainly could use them.
There you go. That was Mike Lombardi on the GM Shuffle podcast. And within the last hour or so, or I should say at least the last day, the odds have shifted significantly, according to Bleacher Report, or I guess according to DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook, originally DeAndre Hopkins was yesterday plus 500 to be a Titan. That means that if you bet $100, you would get $500 if DeAndre signed with the Titans. Now it's minus 300, which means you have to bet $300 in order to win $100, which is freaking crazy. With that, Chris Sanders joins us on the program right now, former Titans receiver. All right, Chris, are you taking the cheese? Do you think, and I thought this, when I came on the air today, before I even know that the odds had shifted, for the first time, I have put it out there officially calling it. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan. I really feel that way. Are you reading the same tea leaves?
I don't know. I mean, I'm still having mixed emotions, because the thing about it is everybody's talking about, the Tennessee Titans are the front runner and all the things of what you just said. But what is he waiting for? I mean, is he waiting for more money? Is he waiting for, to get into camp and not to get into camp, but somebody else to get hurt so he can get more money? What the heck is he waiting for? Because it's out there. He can come to a team to where he could be the number one guy and make some explosive play to an anemic team that has no receiver. So what the heck is he waiting for? That's the question that I want to ask Hopkins.
Okay, what if I told you he's waiting for a better offer, but it doesn't feel like the better offer is ultimately going to come?
Then let me ask you. I wouldn't want him then. I mean, because the thing about it is, if he's focusing on, and everybody has to get the money, I understand that, but you have a situation to where you can come in and automatically teach these young guys, automatically come in and make some plays and make a team, better at the wide receiver position. So, I think that also I know he's got to be a businessman. I understand that. I understand the business side of it. But at the end of the day, you're older in age. I know you want the money like OBJ, but you got to come to a team to where you're going to be the number one guy and make a chance to do that.
Chris, don't you think that the money, it's more of a representation of what it means in terms of respect than it is more of, $15 million or $12 million is so much better than, like the difference of $12 million, the $9 million between $3 million and $12 million. I feel like it's the respect is what, DeAndre is really holding on to right here.
Yeah, I mean, but what is respect going to do? I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about playing football. And I'm being careful when I say that because each player wants to make their money, and I was in the same situation. But at the end of the day, you're older in age. You don't have the speed that you have, and you're in a position to come to a team to make some plays. So that's why I keep asking the question that I asked when we first got on the air. What the heck are you waiting for? The offer's on the table. You can make some money. You can come and help Burks and help Derrick Henry and make this offense better and have a chance to put yourself in position to win the AFC South and even have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So what the heck are you waiting for?
Former Titans receiver Chris Sanders is with us. Do you think that training camp should be a soft or hard deadline on the DeAndre front?
1,000%. And the reason why I say that he should definitely be there is because you got to get to know your players. And I understand he's a veteran guy. He can come and learn the terminology. That's good and everything. But you got to have rhythm with your quarterback. You got to have rhythm with the whole offense. You got to understand the terminology. I know Tim Kelly knows him from the Texans, but you got to come in and build camaraderie. You can't build camaraderie if you're coming in, the end of training camp. Now you're behind the curve. Now you got to learn Tannehill. Now you got to talk more. But if you come into camp and say, you know what, I want to learn you, Tannehill. I want to learn where you want me to be. I want to understand the concept even better so I can make plays for the team. So I definitely think that it should be a timetable to where he needs to sign right before camp so he can be in camp.
Chris, I don't think it's completely fair to say Tannehill sucks. I've never said that, even when I've been my harshest on Tannehill.
Yeah.
I do think that there's a belief out there that Ryan Tannehill sucks, and I do think that is hurting, the possibility of acquiring DeAndre Hopkins. And I don't think the Titans did themselves any favors on the Tannehill front because they didn't commit to him, and they've tried to replace him the last 2 years with new quarterbacks. Now, Tannehill needs to play better in the Cincinnati game or things like that. But I do wonder what you make of that and how, if you didn't see the Titans every week, do you think there's a chance you'd look at it if you were DeAndre and think, I got 1 year to reset my value, and am I going to do that with Tannehill?
I mean, you got to do your homework, and that's exactly what Hopkins is doing. But look, I know a lot of people's mad at Tannehill, but I think it was 2019 when they were in 2-4. If Tannehill's not on the team, we don't do absolutely anything. And I know everybody talks about Tannehill, and there were moments that he did terrible, just like a couple of years ago with the Cincinnati game. He threw 3 interceptions. I understand. But if you look at Tannehill, he may not be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, but he's still a reliable guy. He's going to make plays. And I want to kind of just say something to the people that are listening. About 3 weeks ago, I was sitting in the meeting room with Tannehill and the offense. This dude is different from the last couple of years. And when I say he's different, he's talking to players. He's communicating with players. He's keeping guys accountable. I was sitting in the meeting room, and he was telling Burks, I need you here. Offensive line, I need you to slide here. Derrick Henry, I need you to be here. It just shows you that this guy's committed to winning. So I don't think it's fair for people to say, oh, he sucks and let's get another quarterback, because if you do that, you're going to look up and see your team being terrible.
What else did you glean from that?
Man, it's just that he wants to win. And listen, I will follow a cat like that. I understand he may not have the numbers. I understand he made some mistakes against Cincinnati. I understand that he's not a top 5 quarterback in the league. But the thing about it is, he's a freaking fighter. And I know that sounds cliche. It sounds like coach talk. But this guy wants to win. And when I was in the meeting room, I'm telling you, I was writing notes, not about the offense, just kind of writing stuff down. And the quote that I said is, this guy wants to freaking win, and I will follow that guy.
You know, I think Tannehill could always tell himself one thing, Chris. He could either get bitter or get better. One of your favorites. Chris Sanders is with us. When do you think the DeAndre thing will come to a head?
Man, I hope it comes together soon. And you just alluded to it a couple of minutes ago that's why by signing him before training camp, it's so important because you have to get to know your player. Tannehill's never played with Hopkins. Henry's never played with Hopkins. Burks has never played with Hopkins. So he needs to come in and get a part of this offense, not wait to the last. So if Rand Carthon needs to do something more, or Vrabel needs to talk to this guy and say, what's your plan? If your plan is to be with us, not with us, then you need to let us know about training camp, and if not, then we got to go separate ways.
Okay, last one for you. Chris Sanders is our guest here on the program. Let's say it does go into training camp, and DeAndre has still not signed yet. Do you think there is any chance that DeAndre Hopkins could still have the kind of impact that we're talking about, hoping for and expecting with the Titans, if he is not a Titan by July 25th?
I don't think he will. And the reason why I say it is because you're behind the 8 ball. If you look at, last year he sat out, I think it was 8 games. You haven't played in 8 games. You played 9 last year, and you sat out 8. So you're still trying to get in game shape. You're still trying to run routes because you haven't ran routes in a long, long time. So I just pray that it works out to where they get something done so he can come in and be an asset and make these teams better. So it all depends on him. We always say this quote all the time. The ball is in your court, and I think right now it's in his court. But he has to make a decision really quick. And if he doesn't do it by training camp, then if I'm Rand Carthon and I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm going different ways because that means he really doesn't want to be here.
To me, he has 2 choices, Chris.
Yeah, to get bitter or better.
There you go. Chris Sanders, as always, joining us on the program. Appreciate you, Chris.
It, my friend. Love you, bro.
Yeah,
Thanks.
love you too. Take care, Chris. Chris Sanders joining us on the program. On draft night, there is a picture of me and Chris when the Colts drafted Anthony Richardson on the live stream, and my head is just down, and you could just see the disbelief. And Chris is sitting there with the biggest smile he's ever had, taking a video of me on his phone. And from that moment, I got to get that framed in the house somewhere. So I am in agreement with Chris. If DeAndre, and I think DeAndre is going to be a Titan. If he's not a Titan by July 25th, I have a hard time believing this is going to work. If he's a Titan on July 24th, I think you got something. Like the Pat Ryan. He's got something. I think he got something. But not if he's not a Titan by the start of training camp. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025. All right. Here's the question. What does Vegas know? We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's been an offseason of change for the Nashville Predators.
Still going to be a relatively young roster. Johansson's gone, Duchesne's gone.
The Nashville Predators are interested, potentially, in a Brett Pesce.
They did trade Ekholm, Granlund, Tanner Jeannot.
What's next for Smashville's team?
They want to get younger. They're going to have to move a piece.
We have you covered with every move on your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Now's the time to get a great deal on a Kubota Z200 Series mower with the new K-Ride Comfort System. The Series delivers a quality cut and an exceptional ride. Right now, get a Kubota Z200 Series mower with K-Ride Comfort System for 0 down, 0% APR for 36 months. Now through September 30th, see Krebs Kubota or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer. Convenient locations in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Visit us online at KrebsKubota.com.
In any work environment, the culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. And this month at Cromwell Media, we want to highlight a few people who are celebrating their anniversaries with us. Morning show producer on 102.5 The Game, Nick Keyser, is celebrating 2 years. 102.9 The Buzz hosts, Eric Steele and Andy Herring, are celebrating 9 years. Sports producer Kenny Adams is celebrating 11 years. And Derek Mason, one of the greatest receivers in Titans history, is celebrating his anniversary with us on 102.5 The Game as well. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together at cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Bobby and Rex Road. Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stillman Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Rebound on the score.
Make every play perfect.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
We're going to win the game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. There is a massive story, massive movement, and we have been following it.
This is DeAndre Watch 2023.
The latest comes from DraftKings Sportsbook. DeAndre Hopkins yesterday was plus 500 to be a Tennessee Titan, which, by the way, was ridiculous. I mean, it had already been reported on Monday that the Titans had made a more aggressive offer than the Patriots, so I don't know how it could be plus 500. But it is now minus 300. That is a massive shift. Just to, again, put this into the context of real money. If you bet $100 yesterday that DeAndre Hopkins would be a Tennessee Titan and he signed with the Titans or ends up signing with the Titans, you would get $500. If you bet $300 today and he ends up signing with the Titans, you would get $100. That is a massive odds movement, switch, you name it. Now, Vegas odds shifting like this, it is not a guarantee of what is going to happen. But there's always a question of what does Vegas know? Now, I am skeptical of using this where I came on the air today before we knew about all these odds shifting, and for the first time I said I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan. But it would be irresponsible to say, well, the Vegas odds have shifted and Vegas knows everything, so he's going to be a Titan, only because remember what happened during the draft. Remember that some guy on Twitter said that he had inside info that Will Levis was going number 2 to the Texans. And then the odds for Will Levis to be the number 2 pick skyrocketed, which was crazy. Then the day of the draft, with all the Diana Rossini rumors about the Titans, C.J. Stroud was a massive favorite to go number 3. And then about an hour before the draft, we followed that the whole show. And an hour before the draft, while we were, the show ended at 6 o'clock, and I believe the draft started at 7. So from 6 to 7, it was me, Chris, and Derek, beginning the draft show, getting ready for the actual draft itself. And when that was going on, the odds went crazy for C.J. Stroud to go number 2. And that was the moment that I think we all knew, okay, Houston's going to draft C.J. Stroud. So Vegas always knows something. And in this case, I want to know, what does Vegas know? Now, we played the Mike Lombardi cuts earlier today, where Mike Lombardi on his podcast, and I don't know when his podcast came out, I think it was yesterday, said that he thinks DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan. Maybe that is what has moved the needle. I don't know. But does the needle move that much because of something that Mike Lombardi says? I don't think it does. So what does Vegas know? Now, look, the Titans to me have been the right choice the whole time. I've never understood the idea of why he would pick the Patriots over the Titans. He and Bill O'Brien clearly had such a bad relationship at the end that O'Brien traded him away, and DeAndre told Michael Irvin that Bill O'Brien compared him to Aaron Hernandez and told him to stop bringing his baby mamas around. That doesn't necessarily sound like somebody that I'd ever want to work for again. Secondly, I don't think Mac Jones is that good of a quarterback. And that's something that I would be keeping an eye on if I were DeAndre here too. Third, Mike Reese reported it on Monday or on Sunday that the Titans have offered more money than the Patriots have. So if we're splitting hairs here and it's Titans or Patriots, and I see that the Patriots aren't offering me as much money, I might take that. Secondly, I think there's tons of targets for him if he comes here, and I think the division is easier. So I'm just telling you right now, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan. We even talked about this last week. Remember, Jeremy Fowler. He was all over TV, and they kept asking him, and this is, again, the dead period for the NFL, and they kept asking Jeremy Fowler. They kept saying, what's the latest on DeAndre? And he would say every time, whether it was his ESPN radio report, whether it was on SportsCenter, whether it was on Get Up, was, I hear the Titans are firmly there in the mix. New England's still in it, and I don't think the Chiefs have the money. That was always what he said. And then we played the cuts last week where he was talking about the Titans passing game and he was talking about the Patriots passing game and those things kind of keeping him up at night. In fact, David, I'm going to send you those cuts from last Thursday of what Jeremy Fowler said about what was keeping him up at night. And the reason why is because I asked the question right then and there. Like, is Jeremy Fowler telling us or is he telling us? And Ian, and I love Ian, Ian said that he was not willing to go there and say, okay, he was not willing to say that Jeremy Fowler was telling us, but it kind of felt like he was. And that's why I brought it up. And now, when I see these Vegas odds shifting and they are jumping, I mean, that is ridiculous to go from plus 500 to minus 300. That's wild. With there to be no movement, right? Like there wasn't an Adam Schefter report. There wasn't anything like that. There's been almost no movement, in terms of actual conversation or anything like that, unless I missed it. But the Vegas odds are telling us that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan. And I just want to know what Vegas knows. What does Vegas know? And I want to go back to last week. Did Fowler know? Is what happened in Fowler's brain last week, is that happening to Vegas and the bettors this week? And my guess is to make the jump that big, these weren't $10 bets that moved that needle. That was big-time Vegas money that moved that needle. Do we have the Fowler from last week?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so this was Fowler talking about, let's start with the Patriots passing game. So they were running, some little gimmick segment on TV called What's Keeping You Up at Night. This was Fowler talking about the Patriots.
Jeremy, what's keeping you awake if you're the Patriots?
Well, the NFL has this thing called the forward pass. And so the Patriots are still trying to introduce themselves to that coming off of last year with the mess of a passing offense that they had. And so this is a team that has a good defense, can control the ball with the running game, but I still have legitimate questions. Can they drive the ball downfield? If they can get DeAndre Hopkins in free agency in the next couple weeks, that certainly helps. Without it, it could be a bit of a struggle.
Okay. He talks about the Patriots passing game and says, if they can get DeAndre, that'd be good. But if not, they're in. Then What's keeping him up at night? With the Titans.
Jeremy, the Tennessee Titans faded in the stretch last year. What's keeping you awake if you're Tennessee right now?
Whether that passing offense is going to be anemic again. I mean, you were watching them late last year trying to secure a playoff spot. It was rough. Couldn't pass the ball. Just barely over 170 passing yards per game. One of the worst clips in the league. I expect Ryan Tannehill to be healthy and better. I also expect the Titans to be firmly in the mix for DeAndre Hopkins. So maybe that will help matters.
I mean, he didn't talk about, hey, if they don't get Hopkins, they're screwed, which they are. They're screwed if they don't get Hopkins the way he talked about with the Patriots. And with that, it was, hey, I expect Ryan Tannehill to be better, and I expect him to be firmly in the mix for DeAndre. It's like Fowler couldn't say it, but he wanted to say it. The same reasons why I think I would be a terrible, terrible informant. Like, I think I would be a horrendous undercover cop, because I just don't think it's almost like I'd want to sit there and say, oh, no. Like, I ain't gonna have that. No, because I just want to tell. It's like Fowler wanted to tell, guys, he's going to sign with the Titans. Like, I'm just telling you right now, he's going to sign with the Titans. Are you for sure? No, I'm not for sure, because they're not for sure. But right now, he's probably going to sign with the Titans. That's what it felt like from Fowler, and that's what it feels like it is from Vegas right now. That they know something. Just like last week, with those two cuts, I told you with Jeremy Fowler, I think he knows something. Just like TD, when DeAndre Hopkins is in the locker room in Foxborough, taking pictures with Matthew Judon saying La Familia, and TD was like, yeah, they're going to sign him. They're confident they're going to sign him. And I'm like, how can they be confident they're going to sign him when he took the visit, he left here and went to New... He's like, hey, they're confident they're going to sign him. Boy, if they don't sign DeAndre Hopkins, man, this is going to be one of the most disappointing Titans. And look, if you're a Titan fan, you've been through your fair share in life of disappointments. I've always joked that I'll never let my kids, if I ever have them, I'll never let them be Titan fans because of what the strain that it has put on the life of dad and grandpa. And it's just, I just don't. If they end up not getting DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know how I'm going to be able to pick the pieces up here. I mean, this just feels, it feels, everything now is pointing in that direction. Even the people that the naysayers, because they don't want him to come here. They do not want him to come here. It's starting to feel like even now it's like it might be heading in that direction. 615-737-1025. What does Fowler know? What does Vegas know? What does Vegas know? What has changed between the plus 500 yesterday and the minus 300 this afternoon for DeAndre Hopkins? That is the question. And if somebody figures out that answer, you'll know exactly what's going to happen next. 615-737-1025. Let's get to your phones on this. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. Plus, while I think there's still some hesitation that he would come here from people that really know the league. We'll get to that. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Henry up the middle. Looks a little move. 10, 5, touchdown.
All the big stories.
Should the Titans go after DeAndre Hopkins?
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
You're going to make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The door's on the board.
Such superstar players.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We're changing the game. I'm Michelle Knezovic. Help your bets stay hot this summer with Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling, with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now when you use the promo code THEGAME, you can score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with the promo code THEGAME. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app and enter the promo code THEGAME, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Check, check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, seat 7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Experience the thrill at Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators. TennesseeAcura.com.
What's it like to be one of the most sought-after basketball players in the nation?
Top 20 recruit. Say hello to Billy Preston.
You turn into a star damn near.
Preston.
We want Billy.
Until
somebody had called the NCAA anonymously.
The federal probe has turned up widespread fraud and corruption in college basketball.
Listen to The Bag Game from 30 for 30 podcasts.
We all got mud on us, man. All of us.
Want to weigh in on the conversation?
It's a brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Mike Reese is reporting that the Titans have been, quote, more aggressive to this point. So that goes in line with what you've been saying, that Tennessee could be the team that has the urgency to go ahead and sign him there. If you had your best guess, do you think he ends up in Tennessee, or does he go to New England, or do you think Tennessee is where he goes?
My guess is it's going to be Tennessee because I think Tennessee will pay. I think Tennessee will stretch a little bit here.
There you go. That was Mike Lombardi on the GM Shuffle podcast, former NFL general manager. So the odds have, I guess since that podcast, the odds have gone crazy. It was plus 500 yesterday. It's plus 300 now, or minus 300, excuse me. Minus 300 now. So I pulled Chase out. Working in the office, doing whatever. I pulled him out because Chase knows way more about it. I mean, like, I know gambling, but I don't know it like you know it. So I pulled you out, and I asked you, what do you make of these shifting odds with DeAndre Hopkins, and what did you say?
Vegas knows something.
What do they know?
I think it's happening.
So you told me you think at 5 o'clock today DeAndre Hopkins
I would not be shocked at all if it comes out today that he's signing with the Titans. Because when I see a shift like that, it's kind of like if you're betting on a football game and Tennessee is a 6.5-point underdog against Florida, and then all of a sudden it shifts and they're 4.5-point favorite. Like, okay, who's hurt?
We saw that when Vanderbilt played North Carolina State in baseball, and North Carolina State's entire baseball team got COVID.
Right, prime example.
We saw that whole day, like the numbers shift in favor of Vandy, and then I think they took it off the board because all of those rumors were going around that NC State might not have a full baseball team to play with.
Right. So, like I said, whenever I see something like that, I go, okay, Vegas knows something. If it's shifting that much, they know, because that's not all the money's going one way shift. That is, information has changed. So either he's talked to somebody or the agent's talked to somebody that's talked to somebody, and it's gotten back to an odds maker that's going, okay, it sounds like Tennessee's about to land this. And the fact that it's coming out now, in my opinion, and again, could be wrong, makes me feel like something's imminent.
What % chance now that you see the numbers? And this is not based upon your thoughts of, oh, well, I think he'd be a good fit with Tannehill, or he knows. Not, forget about that. Just the actual numbers of the movement of the line. What % chance do you think now DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan?
In general, not necessarily today, I would say 90%.
Really?
I feel that
just
good
the
about
shift from a plus 500 to a minus 300.
Yes. I feel that good about it.
So here's where I'm skeptical on this. I was skeptical because remember on the draft there was some anonymous Twitter user that said that he heard that Will Levis was going number 2. And then
so all
that came down the pipe. and the odds skyrocketed for Will Levis to go number 2. And then leading up to the draft, the odds were going crazy for C.J. Stroud at 3. And then right before the draft, while we were on probably at like the 6:15 mark, it all of a sudden shifted all the way to C.J. Stroud at number 2.
Right.
So it was like those rumors set off this chain reaction of just skyrocketing numbers that were even higher than this, and ultimately that didn't come to fruition either.
Right. So, look, it's not an exact science by any means, but it just tells me somebody's talking and there's smoke.
To that point, the talking to an odds maker, and I'm sure this is totally against the NFL rules, but it doesn't mean that it probably doesn't happen. I mean, we talk about all the lying that goes on and the deception and everything else when they're trying to, with these draft picks. It wouldn't surprise me if some of that happened because the teams were letting people know, hey, we're going to take Will Levis, even though we're absolutely not going to take Will Levis, but we're just letting them know, hey, we're going to take Will Levis, and we're not going to just to try to throw everybody off before draft night. Whereas in this, I don't think there's really anything to be gained. It's not like the Titans are secretive that they don't want DeAndre Hopkins or want DeAndre Hopkins or something like that.
What's funny is when I saw that tweet about the odds movement, I immediately typed in Diana Rossini. Okay, nothing yet. I mean, since she is the official Titans reporter, it seems, and seems to have those things. But I don't know. I found you ran out in the hallway, and I was like, I sent it to you. I was like, I think they know something. I think something could be afoot here.
But you think it is imminent?
I do. I really do.
Even though we've been told the whole time, hey, this could go into training camp.
It could.
And this could go on, and this could. I guess what I'm trying to wonder is, I've always talked about this, the difference between, hey, I'm telling you, or I'm telling you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and there's a difference.
I'm telling you it'd be nice if we had a baseball team. I'm telling you we're getting a baseball team. Like, the difference between that. This kind of odds jump. Like, it's not like it's minus 2,000.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty big. It's not like, hey, the odds have shifted from, they were plus 210, now they're minus 150. It was plus 500, now it's minus 300. I mean, that's a big shift, but it's not a big shift to, like, again, 2,500 or something like that.
It's at the point where if it doesn't happen, it's a big enough of an upset to go, okay, that's an upset. Like if you say, if it's a yes or no, yes is minus 300 that Hopkins will sign with the Titans, no is plus 300. Like that's a big enough swing and to be considered an upset that if he doesn't sign at this point. But I mean, who knows? He again, you just used the phrase of like I think it's got a good chance of happening, or I think it's got a good chance of happening. It's all about the tone too. So it depends on who's having those conversations and where it's coming from.
What do you think Vegas knows?
Well, I think somebody has said like, hey, he's probably going to sign with Tennessee. That's something to that effect.
Has this affected all the books, or has it just affected that one draft?
That's the only one I've seen. I mean, because not every book does that.
Has a DeAndre Hopkins
Right.
going to where he's going to go type.
So I don't know. I just kind of have that feeling. I mean, and I've always felt between the two teams that are out there.
Sure.
Kansas City being a wild card.
But that's like the subjective reasoning based upon, like the way I look at it, based upon just reality, right?
Right.
Like that's piecing together, the offense and the quarterback as compared to the other quarterback and the money and all, like that kind of stuff. This is just looking at the chart of betting data and saying, holy crap. We've talked about this for months. I mean, TD, what was it, 4 weeks ago, when TD said, hey, the Titans are confident they're going to sign DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like nobody wanted to talk about the Titans signing DeAndre Hopkins, and now it's minus 300.
Well, like if you talk to somebody on NFL radio, right?
Sure.
Like,
I mean, I talked to Kirk Morrison yesterday.
You're right.
And Kirk Morrison was not having it, like the idea of DeAndre Hopkins coming to the Titans.
So he's against it.
Completely against it. Pretty against him going to New England. He thinks he's going to end up a Dallas Cowboy.
No way.
David?
Why? No, I don't think so.
Play the cut. Kirk Morrison, this was yesterday. I asked him, I said, where's DeAndre going to go? I said, it was a long interview. We talked a lot about DeAndre. I mean, he crapped on Tannehill and Will Levis and was like, he's not going to go there. And so I asked him, I was like, all right, where's Dalvin Cook going to go and where's DeAndre going to go? Here's what he said about DeAndre.
I look at DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm trying to figure out what team can definitely use him. It sounds crazy, but I've said this before. If you're all in and you need to get over the top, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I make a run at them just for 1 year. Just for 1 year. And you talk about having, obviously CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and you throw in DeAndre Hopkins just for a year with Tony Pollard, the tight ends. Come on, man. Just for 1 year. I think that would be very interesting and something that I think that DeAndre would like too as well.
So he threw that out there yesterday, and I was just like, yeah. Nah.
I don't know about that. I mean, they have Antonio.
He's not going to Dallas.
He's not going to Dallas.
Jerry is not going to pay the money for DeAndre Hopkins. If the Titans are I think the Titans are offering around $12 million. If the Titans are offering around $12 million, Jerry Jones is not going to pay that.
No.
I don't think Jerry was ever interested in DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-mm.
But so to your point, you said if I ask someone from NFL radio, that's what they do not want to talk about the Titans. ESPN outside of Fowler. And Fowler last week kept bringing the Titans up every time he was asked about it. And I asked Ian, we even played the cuts, from last Thursday when he talked about the Patriots passing game and was like, but if they get DeAndre, that could help. But if not, they're in trouble. With the Titans, it was the passing game's in trouble, but Tannehill's going to play better. And if they get DeAndre, they should be okay. And it kind of felt like Jeremy Fowler was telling us, hey, I'm telling you, this Titans thing, this is for real. And it feels like Vegas is telling us that this Titans thing with DeAndre is for real. And so that's where I'm trying to kind of say, okay, now is everybody's opinion going to shift and actually consider the Titans as a realistic possibility for DeAndre Hopkins?
I do feel like, though, some of the ESPN people, at least the ones that are still there, they have said DeAndre. I mean, Tim Hasselbeck has kind of felt like DeAndre in the Titans was a fit. Fowler, maybe there's a few that have said Patriots, but if you look at this objectively, take our two-tone glasses Nashville off,
sure,
the Titans are a better fit between those two. Now, if Kansas City comes along and clears cap space and all of a sudden they got $12 million to spend, then yeah, okay. I know. But if they do that, then okay, yeah, Kansas City. But if it's the Titans and the Patriots, those two, Tannehill's better than Mac Jones.
Texter surmises, and our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, that it could be New England who's telling the odds makers that they think that they might be out.
Maybe. That's a draft trick.
But I think about it like this.
Is that Belichick's dark arts?
Well, so I think that would be a DeAndre thing.
Yeah.
Let's say that this is a smokescreen, going back to the draft. I think that would be DeAndre not wanting to be here, but telling, the odds makers or whatever, hey, I think I'm going to sign with Tennessee. The odds shift significantly, and then that convinces a New England to up the ante or something like that. It reminds me of a Jeremy Fowler report on the morning before Derek Carr signed with the Saints, where I want to say around 6 o'clock on Sunday, Fowler reported that Carr was leaning towards the Jets. And I'm convinced that came from Carr's camp, and that was either to get the Saints to pony up, or it could be to get the Jets to get off the pot because they were still playing footsie with the Aaron Rodgers thing. And so it was like, all right, either you're in on Carr, you're out on Carr, and the next morning he signed with the Saints.
So let's say, let me ask you this. Let's say that Tennessee has offered $12 million, and maybe there's incentives that'll get it up to 14, 15, somewhere in there. And this gets out because somebody's saying, hey, he's about to sign with Tennessee. Does Bill get on the phone and, let's say they've offered 10, and do you think Bill would jump up to that to match Tennessee? Do you think he wants him that much? Or does Bill play that game?
Albert Breer reported that they want him, but they want this on Bill's terms, and that they've told them that this is going to be on Bill's terms. I don't think Bill's playing the game.
I don't think so either. I don't think $12 million plus incentives.
But I still think DeAndre might, be waiting for the mystery team that I don't think exists.
Yeah, I don't know who the mystery team would be.
That's the thing. That's where, again, I go back to when TD said 3 weeks ago. Was it 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago? I can't even remember.
We've been talking about this for 2 months.
So when TD said that the Titans were confident that they were going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. I thought it was crazy how few people found that to be an overly newsworthy item. I thought it was a massively newsworthy item.
Yeah.
That TD is reporting that the team is confident. I mean, that's like hearing it right from the Titans, in my opinion, knowing TD's sourcing over there.
Yep.
And so when I heard that, now it's all starting to kind of add up that the Titans made an offer to DeAndre, and they told DeAndre, hey, you can go shop the offer. You can go see if somebody gets hurt, see if this is our offer. And that the Titans are confident that nobody else is going to offer more.
Do you think that this could be because Vrabel knows him so well, Tim Kelly knows him so well, they had the visit, he goes to New England, he calls somebody and goes, hey, I like this, but I'm not going to do anything until camp. I'm going to take it easy.
I don't think you say that to Vrabel.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you know him,
I don't think
you
so.
know the history.
I think that they, especially after Clowney and Julio, I mean, Chris and I were just talking about that last hour, and I mean, I look at the 25th as a deadline. Now, I look at it as a soft deadline. I think Chris looks at it as a hard deadline. I look at the 25th as a deadline.
Yeah.
Which is like, hey, I understand you don't want to practice that much, but we need you in here to create chemistry with Tannehill and the wide receivers. And, I mean, we need you. I know you know the offense, but we need you to get to work. And just knowing Vrabel and knowing what happened with Clowney and Julio, I could just see Vrabel saying, hey, man, you got to be here for training camp. You're not going to practice every day. Put him on the Ben Jones, Roger Saffold plan where he, practices for 3 days and then takes a day off and then during the season doesn't practice on Wednesday or something like that. Put him on that plan. But I think he's going to be here for camp. That's just me, though.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be here for camp.
So do you still think, before I pulled you in here at the top of the segment, you told me, you said you think 5 o'clock, something could be imminent with DeAndre Hopkins on the DeAndre Hopkins front. Do you still think that?
I do. I'm sticking with it.
Has the number changed at all on DraftKings since this came down the pipe?
Not that I have seen.
So it's just staying at 300.
Yeah, and I mean it could be one of those things that they update, periodically.
See, I thought these things had like algorithms where it was, so many people are betting or so much money has come in, so now the algorithm automatically shifts the number. And that like there could be a person that overrides it, but that I figured that most of the lines, especially live betting lines during a game, I kind of felt like those were probably derived from algorithms and code.
No, they are. And I'm actually trying to find it right now. It's because there's so many different things that you can bet on. But yeah, I mean those algorithms exist and update, but I don't know how often that is, I guess.
Good stuff, Chase.
Thank you.
615-737-1025. We'll get to your phone, 615-737-1025 plus. Kirk Morrison, I told you, I asked.
We are live and local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Black Friday in July at Electronic Express. Get up to 50% off in every department. Don't miss a TCL 65-inch Roku TV for only $349 or an LG laundry pair for just $499 each. Save on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, and more. Get an Acer Aspire laptop for just $199 or a Ring Video doorbell for only $149. Get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, what's up? It's Chase McCabe, and I've been telling you about PhD weight loss for a couple months now. I'm down 22 pounds since I have been on the program, and I love it. It's been set up by Dr. Ashley Lucas, obviously a best-selling author. She's put this whole program together, and it is showing results. The thing I like about it is it's custom-made for me. I have a coach, Rachel, that I talk to weekly, and she adjusts the plan for me as I go. 85% of the food is provided. You can use your own food as well, and your coach will help you through that entire process. And that's what I love. Like I said, it's made for me with those customized meal plans. Here's the other part that's awesome. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That is their offer guarantee. So check it out, myphdweightloss.com. That is the website. You can go and read more about it and sign up, myphdweightloss.com.
Election Day in Davidson County is August 3rd. Don't forget to cast your vote for mayor, vice mayor, at-large council members, district council members, and Tennessee House of Representatives District 51. This important election will help shape the future of our region. Early voting is from July 14th through 29th. If necessary, the runoff election will take place September 14th. For more information on registration, early voting, and polling locations, visit the link at thegamenashville.com.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep, switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win.
Pregame at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Kirk Morrison's with us. If you were DeAndre, and let's say the only two offers when push came to shove were Tennessee and New England, which team would you pick if you were him?
If push comes to shove, neither. I'll just wait. There's something else out there. We've seen it before, and I'm not trying to not answer the question, Jared. It's just that in a good situation, those are the last two teams. I just don't see that happening. I think he goes somewhere else. I look at last year. You look at some of the receivers who get traded. You look at what happened with Odell Beckham last year. A couple of years ago, he goes out and wins the Super Bowl. Kadarius Toney gets traded from the New York Giants midway through the season. He wins the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. We've seen big receiver, opportunities during the season. And if you're a team that feels like you've got a chance, are you DeAndre Hopkins saying, you know what, I'm going to settle, or I'll wait for an opportunity, and if I have to wait an entire year, so be it. If I have to wait a couple months, then, I'll do that. But I know foot to the fire, you're like, who do you choose? Who do you choose? I guess you would choose New England because of Bill Belichick, the culture, the team, and Mac Jones as the quarterback have maybe a little bit of stability. And you do know Bill O'Brien, but obviously, like I mentioned earlier, the last time you were together, obviously he traded you away. I just don't know if these are the right two teams, and I don't think these are the final two teams. We always know the real G's move in silence, okay, like the G in lasagna, okay? That's what I think. There's some teams out there quietly just looking and waiting, and they're going to pull a trigger on DeAndre Hopkins, but it's just not the time right now.
That was Kirk Morrison last night with me on Mad Dog Radio on Sirius XM. And I asked him, he's NFL radio, former NFL player. He's like, I do not think he's going to that team. I was surprised that Morrison thought that it would be like an Odell thing where, I'm sitting out before I go to the Titans. I mean, crazy things have happened in this league. If that happens, that would be wild. I mean, and I think that would be crazy on the part of DeAndre Hopkins. But that's what a former player thinks. And I'm not saying that every former player thinks the same, but I do think that he's right that this has taken so long because DeAndre is trying to see if somebody else will get into the mix. And maybe DeAndre's just had enough. Maybe Hopkins has just had enough, and that's why the odds are shifting the way they have. Again, according to DraftKings Sportsbook, the Titans were plus 500 yesterday to land DeAndre Hopkins, and now they are minus 300 to land him. DeAndre's got about 18 different social media apps, so I've been going through all of them to see if there's a tell some way or another, or if there's something like in the NBA where, did you see that Kyrie Irving has unfollowed and so far I can't see anything there that would tip me off to the idea that DeAndre Hopkins would be signing that would push the number that way, but that's what we're following. I have talked to an industry source. So this is a Vegas industry source. And they just texted me back. So I have not looked at the contents of this message. I'm just going to read it on the air. I said to my source, again, this is a odds-making Vegas source. What do you make of DeAndre's odds flipping from plus 500 to minus 300 in the last 24 hours? He said, quote, where there's smoke, there's fire. But those markets are like most of the liquid draft markets. Limited info, priced around speculation, and mostly there to draw public money. If it goes plus 500 to minus 300, it could easily go back down to plus money tomorrow if enough money comes in elsewhere. So that's another wrench. And that's where I keep bringing up the draft stuff, how some guy on Twitter can just turn around and say, oh, I hear Will Levis is going number 2, and the draft markets and betting markets just skyrocket for Will Levis at number 2, when the Texans were never going to take Will Levis at number 2. So now that throws me for, a little bit of a loop here as we try to follow this as all, what is on a DeAndre watch one way or another. Texter says that the odds for betting which team DeAndre is going to be on are not legal in Tennessee. So you or I or whomever here in Tennessee cannot pull it up on our phones if we have DraftKings. I don't have DraftKings. But we cannot pull it up on our phones in Tennessee because apparently you can't bet on that in Tennessee. Can I ask why you can't bet on that in Tennessee? Like what? I mean, if we're gonna bet, just let us bet. Who cares what we're betting on? If we want to bet on a marbles race, or we want to bet on a baseball game, or we want to bet, just let us bet. Why can't we bet what team someone's gonna go to? Who made that law? That's like the idea that you can't have a brick and mortar sports book. I'm like, so everybody who's got their phone on their pocket can bet there, but they don't have a brick and mortar. Why? You're just costing yourself money. Texture says, if the Titans get DeAndre Hopkins, wouldn't this be really close to the strength of the Titans a few years back when they were on their way? And that comes from Andy. I don't want to sound like a coach. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be Belichick and do the, every year's different, so not really going to try to make a big deal out of it, of what it means or what it doesn't mean or anything like that. It's different. I'm not trying to do that, but I would say that in 2021, when the Titans acquired Julio Jones, which was a move I was against, everybody, including the national media, they were all in on this offense, and I just remember the conversation of, wow, Tannehill, Henry, AJ, Julio, Josh Reynolds, Ferkser, who are you going to stop on that team? And now I look back at it, and I think we all can kind of have a chuckle a little bit. Now, that team was still pretty good. Like, they did end up with the number 1 seed in the AFC, and it was all with, Opie Taylor as the offensive coordinator. But where I feel better is that if they get DeAndre Hopkins, I do feel like, for the most part, the Titans will have a solid team. And all anybody does is talk about the Titans stink. I know. Everybody thinks the Titans stink. That doesn't make it true. The Titans are going to have a second-place schedule. They play in an easy division. 2 teams that are probably going to start rookie quarterbacks. They play the NFC South, which is Atlanta, Carolina, all of those kind of teams. Again, not great. Not having to go in there and just take in the teeth of Dallas, Philadelphia, the Giants like you did last year. So I feel pretty good about it if they get DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, my God, Tannehill, Burks, Chig, DeAndre, Derek, unstoppable. Like, I'm not going to compare them to the 2006 Colts or anything like that. The greatest show on turf, Rams. But I'll feel good about the offense because I still think Derek can run the ball, and I think Tannehill can still throw the ball, and there's no way that they can protect the quarterback any worse than they did last year. And I think the defense will be fine. And again, outside of Joe Burrow, I want to say it's Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. The Titans don't play elite quarterbacks this year. And so now you're not going to have to go out there and win a game by throwing the ball for 380 yards. So I feel good about it, especially if they get Hopkins. And I think they're going to get Hopkins, so I feel really good about that. Corey Curtis texted me, by the way, from News 2. He's been saying for a while he thinks the Titans are going to get Hopkins, and he said, thanks for jumping on the bandwagon. I am on it after Corey, but now I do feel like DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan. 615-737-1025. We'll get to more of your phones. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad.
It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stillman and Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
There's nobody on the planet who's as picky when it comes to diamonds as Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon.
I'm very, very selective on the diamond that I pick.
Indeed, Boaz will look at 2,000 diamonds on the world market and find maybe 2 or 3 that meet his criteria.
What most people don't know, and even jewelers, a diamond has much more than the 4 C's. He has maybe 20 C's.
Like the diamond's luster grade or brilliance level, its feathering, its inclusions, its table, its polish, its symmetry, even the diamond's own DNA or X-ray report, which most jewelers don't even know about.
I refuse to sell diamonds that don't go through our very, very strict criteria.
Which means a Genesis diamond is one she can be proud to wear, with the most sparkle and brilliance and real intrinsic value.
This is my goal, to go all over the world and find only the best hand-selected diamond.
Genesis Diamonds, setting the highest quality standards in the jewelry business. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
The spring menu is here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, featuring their signature cast iron pie with herb roasted chicken, English peas, carrots, potato, simple greens, and a toasted biscuit crumble topping. Or garden succotash with snap peas, black-eyed peas, roasted peppers, sweet corn, tomato, and caramelized onion. Or try the steak fritas with pan-seared ribeye. Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, open daily till 2 with brunch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 7 till 2.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland, tractor, and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes.
He wants to be the starter, day one. Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but Derek, let's Professor Derek.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here.
Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What do you make of the fact that Tennessee and New England are the only 2 teams that have made substantial offers to DeAndre? And do you think that, those two coaches, Vrabel and Belichick, they want you to practice. They value training camp. And I wonder if they may put a time limit on these deals and kind of force DeAndre's hand before somebody could get hurt at training camp. And since there's no other big offer out there, it would be a big risk for DeAndre Kirk.
Yeah, they're offers, but it's not the right offer. If it was the right offer, then he would obviously accept it. There's offers, and we don't know what those offers look like. I'm sure it's probably not to his liking in terms of the money, but I think also, too, it's probably not the teams he's looking for. Is this really about money for DeAndre Hopkins? This year seems to be a one-year deal situation, and then hopefully he can get another long-term deal next year in the wave of free agency that he had missed this year. That's why I think that he's trying to find the best fit for 1 year. I don't believe it's Tennessee. I don't believe it's New England. Yes, they've thrown out offers. They've been publicly, it's been publicly rumored and sourced. But is that really the best place for DeAndre Hopkins? I don't think so. Tennessee, you please tell me, do you have faith in Ryan Tannehill and DeAndre Hopkins, or are you putting faith in the young rookie Will Levis? Maybe when it comes to New England, possibly. But how can I look Bill O'Brien in the eye knowing that you traded me away from the Houston Texans? Like, that still doesn't sit well with me. I'm not sure if that does sit well with DeAndre Hopkins. But that's why I think in these two situations, they've given offers, but is that really where he wants to go? I don't think so.
There you go. That was Kirk Morrison, NFL Radio on my SiriusXM show yesterday. And he does not think that DeAndre Hopkins is coming here or to New England. And maybe that's because that's not what he would do. I don't know. I do wonder, again, the odd shift. Does that change the mind? DraftKings Sportsbook yesterday, DeAndre plus 500 to be a Titan. DeAndre today, minus 300 to be a Titan. Chase came in earlier, and Chase said to me in the hallway, he thinks it's imminent. He thinks there could be 5 o'clock. It could drop that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan. Boy, would that be crazy if that happened. Texter texts in and says, remember what happened on NBA Draft Day? Shams Charania put out a tweet saying that Scoot Henderson was going to the Hornets. Money changed instantly, and it did not happen. So I do remember that. I want to say, all I remember was there's a lot of talk because Shams Charania is employed by FanDuel. There was a lot of talk of whether or not that was dirty. That Shams Charania, did he lie about the Scoot Henderson thing in order to, get people to bet on Scoot Henderson and then FanDuel keep the money? Now, I don't believe that that's what happened, but there was a lot of alleging impropriety. We haven't seen any of that when it comes to DeAndre. Shams Charania, that's like Ian Rappaport. If Ian Rappaport were to come out today and say, I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan. If he were to say that, then the odds would skyrocket in the direction of DeAndre. But those guys, the insider types, they are very careful. Even when they know something, they are very careful not to completely relay it until they're supposed to relay it. Do you have that other Fowler clip from last week that I sent in there?
Yes.
Okay, so this was him on SportsCenter. And again, I go back to these insiders because they don't want to be like what Shams was with that Scoot Henderson thing. This was Fowler on SportsCenter. And if Fowler knows that it's 90% Titans, he can't say that it's 90% Titans, but just listen to him talk about the Titans.
Here we got DeAndre Hopkins. So I've been asking around on this, and the Tennessee Titans, I'm told, are pretty well positioned here. They remain firmly in the mix. They had him for a visit in a few weeks ago, as did the New England Patriots. Both teams are in it. Both teams are monitoring the situation, keeping in touch. Kansas City Chiefs have touched base a little bit. They just don't have a lot of money. So unless they do Chris Jones's contract extension to free up some cap space, would be very tough for them to do. But from Tennessee's side, Mike Vrabel and the whole crew there, certainly open and hoping that Hopkins signs there.
Okay. Again, Fowler's not going to tell you that he's going to sign here unless he knows he's going to sign here. But if Fowler thinks he's going to sign here, he may try to hint it. And I do wonder if that's what was going on. Texter says, I wonder if Hopkins being familiar with Vrabel will help in the decision since he was the defensive coordinator at Houston before being the Titans head coach. I absolutely think that it plays a factor. And that's why everybody talks about Bill O'Brien. And they say, well, hey, remember he was in New England with Bill O'Brien or in Houston with Bill O'Brien, and they did this and they did that. Well, Tim Kelly was there too. Tim Kelly, the offensive coordinator of the Titans, was the understudy of Bill O'Brien in Houston. Now, I don't know the specifics of the relationship between Tim Kelly and DeAndre Hopkins, but I'm going to guess that Tim Kelly never compared DeAndre Hopkins to Aaron Hernandez, which would give him a leg up on the relationship between him and Bill O'Brien. But nobody ever talks about that. I think the bigger thing is Kelly, maybe even bigger than Vrabel. That's just my opinion on it. Boy, this one texter's all worked up. Wes in Clarksville, boy, he is mad about the Hopkins talk. He said, I'd already be out on Hopkins. We want players that want to be here, not just for the money. Julio and Clowney were here just for the money. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Nico Autry's here because he wants to be here? Or do you think Nico Autry's here for the money? Nico Autry didn't go to OTAs this year. Danico Autry shows up when it's time to play ball, but when it's time to play ball, Danico Autry plays ball. It's okay sometimes for guys to be about the money, as long as they show up. With Hopkins, I think he's one of those guys. He's a mercenary, like Darrelle Revis, like Nick Saban as a coach. Every college football fan would love for the coach of their school to be one of us. I remember all the calls that I got. You guys, Philip Fulmers, he'd be a great AD, Jared. He bleeds orange. And I was like, what? And all that does is it makes it harder to fire somebody. But a football coach is a football coach. And I don't care. At my school, we just hired Jeff Brom from Purdue. Used to play quarterback at Louisville. Used to be an assistant coach at Louisville. I hope Jeff Brom does a good job. I think Jeff Brom's a good coach. Guess what? All I care about is you're going to win some football games. I don't care that you went to college there. I saw all the points you put up in the Music City Bowl. I want that. And with a guy like Saban, I think if Saban woke up one morning and opened the closet and it was all Mississippi State gear, and after that 2 hours of disorientation where he realizes, it's like an episode of Star Trek or something, and he realizes that he's been, transported or something, and it's like, oh no, I'm a Mississippi State coach now. Saban would go coach for Mississippi State, and he'd win some games. Texture says if DeAndre wanted to be here, he would have already signed. What's the status of another offensive lineman? Who cares about Hopkins? The Titans don't have an offensive line that will block for Tannehill. They don't need receivers. He is just going to get sacked. I mean, the Titans' O-line's kind of sucked over the last couple of years, and because they had receivers, they figured it out. So, I think both help. Texter says, are the national guys really trying to convince people that Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill? I'm no fan of Ryan Tannehill, but give me a break. And that does drive me crazy. Now, I think the Titans have to live with some of the blame there on the perceptions of Tannehill. Tannehill did not do himself any favors with the interceptions in the Bengals game. And there's no way to undo that, and everybody saw it. But last season, Tannehill was not bad. But as soon as the season was over, Vrabel was asked by me about, are you committed to Tannehill for next year? And he wouldn't say yes. Rand Carthon got hired as general manager, and he was asked by me if he was committed to Tannehill, and he wouldn't say yes. When they hired Tim Kelly at the Super Bowl, I asked Vrabel about what's it mean for Ryan, and he kind of hinted at the idea that Tannehill might be the quarterback. Then at the Combine, Rand Carthon would not commit to Tannehill. I asked him if it would be easier before the draft just to commit to Tannehill, and he gave us the Ryan and I have had a conversation, and it stays between Ryan and I. Not necessarily showing a ton of faith in Tannehill, and then they drafted a quarterback. So the idea that people have that Tannehill's not that good, it's not like the Titans have done anything to dissuade anybody from believing that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will keep our eyes on the DeAndre odds. And if we have to come back to it, we will. We'll keep our eyes on those odds. But coming up next, I need your help. Last night, I have an opinion that I've never been called before. And I want to know if it's right or wrong. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
D-Hop Watch continues.
Titans and Patriots have made offers. He's kind of holding out, looking around.
Could the Titans add the talented wide receiver?
They need help at the receiver position.
With speed that can catch the football. How much better can he make the two-tone blue?
Titans have a better chance of being in the postseason.
D-Hop.
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 D-Hop. D-Hop Watch continues.
Titans on 3, 1, 2, 3. Titans.
Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hi, I'm Chase McCabe with your PBR Minute. Catch PBR Team Series Stampede Days in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena August 18th through the 20th. You can go to PBR.com, Ticketmaster.com to get your tickets to see the defending Team Series champion. Head coach Justin McBride is getting his team ready for yet another season, but also to go win another one.
Getting the guys healthy and bull riding, that's always a big part of it, trying to juggle your roster and use the healthiest guys you got at the time. But I think for our squad, it's going to be really important this year to never forget about last season and what they were able to accomplish, but they've kind of got to let that go now. They've got to go try and get another one. We talk about it as, we're not defending anything. We won that title forever. That's in the history book. But we got to go win another one now, and that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to hold on to anything. We're trying to go get more.
And again, you can get your tickets now, August 18th through the 20th, PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. We are keeping an eye on DeAndre Hopkins' watch. The odds have shifted heavily in the favor of the Tennessee Titans, plus 500 yesterday, minus 300 today. If anything happens, we will be all over that. But I do have a question to ask the audience today. And this is so much easier when Caroline is here and I can ask her, hey, is this, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Should I have said that? Should I apologize for this? Should I not apologize for that? But I don't have her here anymore. So it's just me and you. So last night on SiriusXM, I was talking on Mad Dog Radio about Pat Fitzgerald being fired at Northwestern. And I relayed my feelings, which was when I read the Northwestern student newspaper report that broke the story about the systemic hazing at Northwestern. I was in Tampa in a hotel room and just reading it on my phone. I read it and I'm like, oh, well, he's probably getting fired. That was just my initial reaction. Now, I didn't feel overly, strongly about it or anything like that. It's not like I was going to go to Chicago and go protest to go fire him. But I read it and I was like, I think Pat Fitzgerald should be fired. Northwestern fired Pat Fitzgerald Now, they have more information than I do. They have that report. I don't have that report. All I have is what's in that paper. But I was fine with firing him. I want to know what made you think when you have the report that Pat Fitzgerald was good with a 2-week suspension and then all of a sudden you fired him. I mean, that I'm a little uneasy about. But I was fine with him firing him. This is what a caller last night on SiriusXM accused me of because of that Pat Fitzgerald take.
You have all the answers. This is a weak men, gutless men, and I hate to say it, I'm putting you in this category, the woke mob, because last night you said in your monologue, you read the story, changed the conclusion, you wanted to fire him, and you haven't even gathered the facts yet. And we do know the fact that nothing has changed in the facts from that report from when they gave a 2-week suspension until 2 days ago when they fired Fitzgerald.
How is that woke?
Enough. The only thing that's changed is your opinion, and that's not fair. And I'll tell you. Let me say why.
How am I a member of the woke mob for reading a story about systemic hazing at Northwestern and then just saying, yeah, they should fire the coach?
Because you came to your conclusion without gathering all the facts. And
that's what's woke?
You know what? Yes. Yeah, that's that. And everything wrong with our country right now. You want to come to your conclusion before you get to let's cancel this guy, let's fire him from his job, and then you have the audacity to say, you know what? But I'd rehire him somewhere else. So I don't know where you stand on the issue. Because you're saying he's good enough to work somewhere else, but he's got to get fired for his job. And I just think that's a weak-minded thought.
Okay. Which leads me to wonder, after hearing that and trying to ask about how does that make me, and I realized, oh my God, am I woke? Like, is my Pat Fitzgerald take woke? I'm not even sure I know what the word woke means. Like, I have a vague idea of what it means, but I'm not exactly sure. I even Googled it, definition of woke. And so what came up on Google was, what does woke mean in politics? Woke has many different meanings, and no one single meaning in politics. Has many different meanings and not one single meaning. The best description would be a person, a business, an organization that believes that they are progressive in the way they think or something like that. Let me say this. How is thinking that Pat Fitzgerald should be fired for, again, systemic hazing at North Carolina? How is that woke? Somebody help me out. This is my question for you all. Was that woke? I mean, is that what woke is? Is that what people, or is woke just, hey, I just don't agree with what you say, so I'm just going to say you're woke? Is that what this means? I mean, I don't know what to say. You know, Chad Withrow's going to be on our show tomorrow and not Friday. We'll ask him tomorrow. The Outkick guys, they would be the experts as far as what's woke and what's not. But I think this is one of the problems that I have. And I have it, much bigger than just sports. But sports is every bit the example of what I think is an issue amongst adults. It's not like I'm a child, and it's not like that guy was a child. But it's I disagree with you, so now it's not just I disagree with the opinion you have, but now I am going to describe you as something that should be considered bad because I don't agree with the opinion that you had. And to be honest with you, he brings up a good point from the standpoint that I said that I think that Pat Fitzgerald, I'm not ready to end the career of Pat Fitzgerald. Now, if I was an athletic director or a president at another one of these schools, I'd want to know what was in that report. I'd want to know if Pat Fitzgerald didn't know about the systemic hazing going on at Northwestern. I'd want to know why he didn't know, and I'd have to have a good answer for that. But I don't think that qualifies as woke. Boy, I've been called a lot of things in my life. I don't think I've ever been called woke. And I certainly don't think I've ever been called woke over a take on Northwestern football. That is an all-timer for me. And so I don't know. Is it not? I mean, to me, this is, if you don't think Pat Fitzgerald should have been fired, that's your opinion. And it's an okay opinion to have. I understand the people out there that say, well, he didn't know. How can you fire him over something he did not know? Now, I don't necessarily agree with the idea that ignorance should protect him from that, but that's my opinion. But that doesn't make you a bad guy or stupid or anything else to think that. If you think the sky's red, then you're stupid. There's a difference there, with all of that. I mean, again, to me, I'm looking at the Northwestern thing, and I'm still trying to figure out. I'm still trying to figure out the president at Northwestern. I'm trying to figure out the idea that last week they agreed on a 2-week no-pay suspension. And that all of a sudden, over 2 days, it went from 2 weeks, no pay, that's good, to fired. I'm like, wait a minute. We have to have more of an explanation other than, well, I talked with board members and teachers and students and the whistleblower, and I realized that I erred in my ways when I said all of this and that I should go back to it and I should fire him. Like, that I have a hard time with. But it doesn't necessarily mean that firing Pat Fitzgerald was wrong. I mean, again, I don't think it makes, if you think that Fitzgerald should be fired, I don't think it makes you something. And if you don't think Fitzgerald should be fired, I don't think that that makes you anything else. And I've had a lot of takes over the years that people haven't agreed with. I've had some takes that later, after having them myself, I felt like maybe I didn't agree with. But with the sports takes, I don't think I have ever once been called woke until last night. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll get your reaction on that. 615-737-1025. Fits later this hour as well. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
And local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I don't mind going to another team. You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
There are ordinary hotels, and there's the Four Seasons. There are ordinary cars, and there's the Rolls-Royce. There are ordinary handbags, and there's Gucci. There are ordinary engagement rings, and there's Genesis. A Genesis diamond ring is unlike any other. Artistic, innovative design, handcrafted precision, exceptional detail and quality. This is why people who work at other jewelers come to Genesis for their rings. A Genesis ring is considered the gold standard in bridal, with no compromises, no cut corners, nothing short of perfection. We have the look, the style every woman dreams about. At Genesis, you'll find dozens of exclusive world-class bridal designers who are revered for their attention to detail, exceptional vision, and superior craftsmanship. A Genesis ring rises to the occasion, reflecting her style, her unique personality, her confidence, her individuality. In a world filled with ordinary, for this moment, choose extraordinary. Choose Genesis. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
Sometimes you want a sure return on your investment. That's where CDs come into play. At F&M Bank, they've been providing smart choices to customers for over a century, including CDs that are a great way to save. You make a deposit and collect the earnings on your terms. Great rates, predictable results, and backed by the Federal Deposit Insurance Company. That's smart banking. Life is complicated. Banking shouldn't be. So go see them at one of their 20 locations across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Jasper's on West End Avenue is your neighborhood bar and restaurant. They offer a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, a large bar, lounge area, and patio seating, plus free parking. That's right, free parking on West End. Come into Jasper's today to enjoy their elevated bar fare and well-crafted cocktails. Happy hour Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, and now game night every second and fourth Thursday. Drop in anytime where you can win gift card prizes each week. That's Jasper's on West End Avenue, Nashville's place to gather, play, eat, and drink. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is back in Nashville August 4th through 6th and is a must-see experience that has something for everyone to enjoy. 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan has all your coverage leading to the race, including driver interviews with Chase McCabe, ticket giveaways, and much more.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Adam, what do you make of people who think that it's unfair to Pat Fitzgerald to be fired over something that apparently he was unaware of?
Right. I mean, I think it's a fair position. However, the one detail that the president, Michael Schill, Northwestern, revealed earlier tonight of the investigation was that 11 other players, current or former, corroborated the hazing. So essentially, hazing happened in the Northwestern program. And at what point, is it not okay to just plead ignorance when you're the head coach, when you're such an important figure in that program and in that community? When is that not a justifiable defense anymore? And I think you always hear about it starts with me as a head coach. They establish the culture, they oversee that, and in the eyes of Michael Schill, the Northwestern president, Fitzgerald essentially had lost the culture, even though he maybe didn't know that these things were going on.
There you go. That was Adam Rittenberg talking about the Northwestern. Again, what do you make of people saying, oh, well, he didn't know? Well, I mean, he didn't know that systemic hazing was going on in his program. All right, I got called woke last night for just thinking after reading the article that they should fire Pat Fitzgerald. I mean, to that point, was it woke of me? In 2017, I was at my gym, Get Fit Anytime, out in Melrose. And I was at the gym, and the FBI investigation into college hoops had come down, and it said that Louisville, which I think at the time was referred to as School 4, had offered $100,000 for a basketball player. And I read that, and I thought, after the prostitute situation in 2015, I said, Pitino's fired. Is that woke?
Apparently so.
I guess. Jeff in Franklin, phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jeff in Franklin, go ahead.
So it's about it falls in line with the cancel culture. So you and I can think, PR is going to say that the university is going to fire Pitino, the university is going to fire Fitzgerald, because they have to answer to those people. It's not. I don't think you're woke. I think that by having a take, I read the article and yeah, he's going to get fired. That's not. I think he should be fired. That's what's going to happen.
I mean, I do think he should be fired.
Okay. And do you think he should be fired because of the systemic hazing or what the hazing was all about?
I think he should be fired because if you have systemic hazing going on in your program, you should be fired. And if you don't know that there's systemic hazing going on in your program, you should be fired for not knowing that.
Okay. So does that make you woke? Maybe.
According to that guy, it does.
Well, but maybe, because what you're saying is that because his point was without all the facts. You don't have all the facts. Now, the one fact that you do have, and I kind of agree with you on, to be perfectly honest, is he should have known what was going on in his program. And if he didn't know what was going on in his program, that's reason enough to let him go.
So it's woke to have an opinion without having all the facts.
Well,
so is it woke that I
it
think
did-
that DeAndre
because
Hopkins is going to be a Titan when I don't know for a fact that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan?
Well, again, it goes back to the progressive idea. That has nothing to do with being progressive or not.
What does Northwestern have to do with the progressiveness?
Hazing is considered bullying. Bullying is something that we're trying to legislate out and
So are you pro-hazing?
No, I'm not pro-hazing.
So then are you woke?
I'm not woke. I think that there should have been more investigation and openness within the university.
But they did an investigation.
But they're not open about it.
I agree.
They're not giving you all. They're not giving you all the information. And then, as you said, the president said, "We're going to suspend you 2 weeks," and then over the weekend decided, "Okay, you're fired." And that to me was a reaction to the and I don't want to say it, but the woke media.
Okay,
hey,
so the
we can't
media
have this
is
guy
woke.
around.
The media is woke for seeing systemic hazing going on at Northwestern and thinking the coach should be fired because if the coach knew, it's bad that the coach has a toxic culture of systemic hazing, that's bad. And so if he didn't know, then he should be fired for not knowing what's going on in his program. And so that's what makes it woke. Thank you for your call, Jeff. That's my whole point. It's like the first thing the guy brought up was cancel culture, which I get. Fine, whatever. But I don't think the people that stopped drinking Bud Light are woke, right? They're the ones that are the anti-woke. And they've canceled Bud Light. And I actually think they've done a pretty good job of canceling Bud Light. But that's what I'm saying. None of this makes any sense. Sometimes I just think people say these words just to say them. It's like somebody texted me or tweeted me the other day, go woke, go broke. And I was talking about like how the New York Times has shut down the sports department because they paid $550 million to The Athletic in order to, run their sports operations. And I'm like, the New York Times makes money. Sometimes I just think people just want to say this stuff. Charlie is up next on the program. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Charlie.
Hey, man, why are you being a jerk to that guy? That was uncalled for. He was trying to stick up for you. He was agreeing with you. And you wouldn't let him talk. And you just kept talking over him and was acting like a jerk to him. You wasn't even listening to him.
I was absolutely listening to him, just like I'm listening to you right now. I heard what you said, and I'm responding to it.
He was on your daggum side. You wouldn't even listen to him. You didn't pay enough attention to him to know that he was trying to agree with you.
I wasn't trying. Again, he was saying that my take wasn't woke, which I agree with. Not that I care, because I'm not totally sure what that word even means. But the point I guess I was making was, how can an opinion about the Northwestern football coach be considered woke? And when people say the word woke, they use it with a negative connotation. So what is the negative connotation from having the opinion that the Northwestern coach should be fired?
I don't even I'm with you. If the guy did not know that stuff was going on, he should be fired.
Then you're woke.
Absolutely right. No, I am not. I promise you. So, I'm far from that, buddy. But anyway, just hear the guy out, okay? I mean, you're a good host. You are. I like listening to you.
I appreciate that, Charlie.
But you were not listening to that man. He had some good points to put out, and it just pissed me off. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, that makes you woke.
Man, I'm an hour and 15 minutes from Nashville, so I'm not woke.
Where you live? Thank you for your call, Charlie. Does where you live make you woke now?
Apparently so. Now
I gotta tell you, when the guy called me woke last night on Sirius, And I didn't totally understand, like, hey, how is an opinion on Northwestern football woke? How is it not woke? What is woke? I don't know. How can an opinion about Northwestern football's coach, there's no social justice element to Northwestern football. Just like there's not a social justice element in my mind when it comes to Rick Pitino or Urban Meyer. Like, it's not social justice to say that Urban Meyer employing a coach who was beating his wife, whose wife told his wife, which leads us all to believe that Urban knew, and keeping him on the staff and denying it and defending him, that's not woke. Just like the idea of Urban sticking his finger in the middle of that girl's jean seam when he was decided not to take the plane home from Cincinnati when he was the coach of the Jags, that's not woke either. Nope. You're anti-fingers towards the butt crack because of that. Woke.
Big woke.
Do you see what I'm saying? And then when people get on here to try to defend it, it's almost like it's harder for me to understand what actually makes something or one thing another. I just don't. Sometimes I just. Texter says, woke is when you were pushing the vaccine and the mask stuff. Okay. Now that I could argue yes. Like that, sure. Now, I didn't tell you guys that you had to get the vaccine or anything like that. I just told you that if an arm grew out of my tush, that you could say you were right and I was wrong. That's what I told you. But until then, when NC State's baseball team got kicked out of the NCAA tournament, I hate to break it to you, that was your choice, NC State. By the way, I did get vaccinated, and I did not have an arm grow out of my ass, which I am very thankful for. This one texter's really mad. Really mad. I did not know that you could get this mad from this discussion.
Woke's a serious topic, man.
Texter says, Jared, if I'm a player and I want to get my coach fired because I don't like him, all I have to do is set up a little hazing for some players, and he doesn't have to be aware of it, and he'll still get fired. It's a dangerous precedent to set that puts a lot of coaches' jobs at risk, if you ask me. I mean, I keep going back to the Pitino thing, and I just feel like I feel like when it comes to Rick Pitino, let's go back to the prostitutes, right? So Andre McGee, an assistant coach who played for Rick Pitino at Louisville and was an assistant coach at Louisville and lived in the dorm with the players, a dorm that I once lived in when I was in college. Andre McGee is buying the services of these prostitutes to come in and put on strip shows for the players and a little bit more. Players and recruits. Okay? Rick Pitino didn't know. Now, I believe that Rick Pitino did not know. Rick Pitino says he didn't know. Swears up and down he didn't know. Is that really a defense for what happened? Or should Rick Pitino's assistant coaches know not to bring in prostitutes to the dorm? And so once you tell me it's a dangerous precedent of what happened to Fitzgerald, I can argue every time. The next thing you know, if you can't fire a guy because he didn't know what was going on in his program, then I'll make the argument that every coach should just walk around with a blindfold on and say, I didn't know. How was I supposed to know that the starting quarterback had an assault rifle in his locker? How was I supposed to know? Or whatever it may be. How was I supposed to know that the players were all cheating on their math tests? I didn't know. So it's hard for me to get behind that. But I do understand the other side of it. And if somebody feels that way, I don't call them something with a negative connotation because it's probably not that. They just probably disagree with me. Fitz is going to join us next. The odds have shifted significantly on the DeAndre Hopkins front. Yesterday on DraftKings, DeAndre plus 500 to the Titans. Today, DeAndre minus 300. What does Fitz make of that? We'll get into that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
You need to give Ryan Tannehill a 2-year extension.
There haven't been too many coaching changes for the Predators. And your source for Nashville sports.
I think that's what the Titans need.
Players who can score. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hang on. It's going to be a wild ride. The PBR team's champions, the Nashville Stampede, are coming home in a run to defend their title. Stampede Days, August 18th through 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Heart-pounding action you don't want to miss. Tickets start at $20. Get yours today at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com. Join us for the ride.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Sometimes you want a sure return on your investment. That's where CDs come into play. At F&M Bank, they've been providing smart choices to customers for over a century, including CDs that are a great way to save. You make a deposit and collect the earnings on your terms. Great rates, predictable results, and backed by the Federal Deposit Insurance Company. That's smart banking. Life is complicated. Banking shouldn't be. So go see them at one of their 20 locations across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You think that we get this third team that gets into the fray here, or is it just going to come down to New England or Tennessee, and he's pretty much waiting until training camp to sign?
Oh, I think there's more than 1-2 teams in it. I just don't think the third team's going to pay. I mean, I could see Buffalo being in it. I could see Kansas City being in it. I could see any team that wants to get a bargain for a slot receiver in it, but I don't think they're going to get the market to drive it up. You know, and I think he's going to have to rely on a receiver getting injured or a team becoming desperate. I think the only team he'll get more money out of will be Tennessee, because Tennessee certainly could use him. They need him. They don't have enough skill, they don't have enough explosiveness offensively. They certainly could use him.
That was Michael Lombardi on the GM Shuffle podcast. Lombardi thinks DeAndre is going to be a Titan, and the DraftKings odds yesterday, plus 500 for DeAndre Hopkins to the Titans. Meaning, if you bet $100 on DeAndre Hopkins being a Titan and he signs with the Titans, you get $500. Today, he's minus 300, which means you have to bet $300 in order to get $100. Jason Fitz joins us now on the program. Fitz, what do you make of that shift in odds on the DeAndre Hopkins front?
Everybody's catching up with what I've already been telling you. Like, I know that it's weird to most people that he hasn't signed yet, but it's just not weird to me because every former player I talked to didn't expect him to sign. Like, why sign early and just have to go through the work and all the effort and all the other things when you're a vet player? You just want to sit around and wait. Like, there's nothing wrong. Even, Harry Douglas, you know how much I know Harry and how much I love Harry. Harry constantly laughed and said there isn't a veteran receiver on the market that's going to sign before they absolutely have to because they're waiting to get their check and they don't want to have to report to go to work to do the monotonous things they don't feel like doing. So I think as much as we want to make this more complicated, it just isn't more complicated than that. DeAndre is going to be a Titan, and I think everybody's just waiting around for it to happen.
So do you think the shift at this point and how dramatic it was means that something could be imminent, or do you think that this is still weeks and weeks away because training camp is yet to start?
Yeah, well, a couple of things on that. You're right. It's a massive shift for just a little report. So I think, yes, it means that it's done. Does it mean it's imminent? I don't know. I know that the way they work and the way, I always say Vegas, but the way any of these places work, when it's that big of a shift, they have some sort of a working insider knowledge. They've got to have a report from somebody. So do I think that means that somebody in their world thinks that, yes, this is a done deal? Yeah. Do I think that means it's imminent? No. They're not going to take any chance on money. It doesn't mean it has to happen in the next 3 days. It just means that their intelligence tells them it is happening.
So, Fitz, one thing that I feel is, like with Vrabel, he's a big practice guy. And between that and the fact that, Julio Jones missed pretty much all of training camp and Jadeveon Clowney didn't sign until right before the first game, I think Vrabel's going to want DeAndre Hopkins on the Titans by July 25th. Now, they may have to pay a little extra for that, but I do think he wants him here for training camp, if for no other reason to develop some chemistry with Tannehill and just be around the guys and, put some sweat out there. He's not going to practice him every day or anything like that. Do you think that could be a soft deadline here as far as the DeAndre movement is concerned?
Yeah, I think what you're saying makes a ton of sense. They should want him there, by the way, not just for Tannehill, but let's also remember, obviously, as you well know, they're developing a future quarterback, right? So every rep helps, right? So I think you're right that at some point the 25th feels like the right way. There's a difference between, hey, he's not around and he's not doing anything right now because there's not much that needs to be done and he doesn't feel like being there versus he's missing training camp. I think that's a substantial difference. So, yeah, they should want him there and they should pay extra for him to be there because whatever it takes to give themselves the best chance possible, I think it needs to be there. Yeah, 100%.
Here's my theory on this. Jason Fitz is with us. I believe, and Mike Reese reported on Sunday, that the Titans have made a more aggressive offer than the Patriots, which falls in line with Albert Breer's report, which was the Patriots want DeAndre, but it has to get done on Bills' terms. I think we know the Chiefs and the Bills, they're not players. Darlington came out yesterday and said the Bills would love to have him at their price. I think the Titans made DeAndre an offer, and I think the Titans knew that nobody else was going to make a higher offer. And that's why 3 weeks ago, TD reported that the Titans were confident they were going to sign DeAndre Hopkins because they knew the value of Hopkins, knew what they were giving, and felt like nobody else was going to give that kind of money. If I didn't know better, it almost feels like they're colluding. Like they know they've given the best offer, and it's the best offer that's going to come. And that's why he's going to end up with the Titans. Is that a far-off theory, or do you follow it?
No, I follow it 100% because, just like teams scout each other's teams, they also scout each other's cap situations. They have a pretty good feel for who's willing to pay what. I mean, you just think about, in general, how small the culture is in the NFL, right? Like, so the players, I shouldn't say the players, the front office of the Titans are every bit as familiar with the front office of the Patriots, obviously, but also familiar with the front office everybody's dealing with. Like, this isn't that much different than the draft when you hit free agency. You sort of got to know what you think somebody's willing to pay, and then you got to figure out where your offer comes in. So, I don't think what you're saying is far off. I also think that the Titans kind of know what they're dealing with and what they need right now, right? So they need to be more aggressive because, frankly, they're not in the same situation that the Chiefs are in and that the Bills are in. Like, The Chiefs and Bills don't need DeAndre Hopkins to be good this season. The Titans need DeAndre Hopkins to be the best version of themselves, bar none. So that's part of what you're going to overpay for. Like, I don't fault the Bills for not being willing to shift on their price because the Bills are still going to be a Super Bowl caliber team without.
Jason Fitz is with us. I play blackjack, Fitz, and I sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But the big key as far as making money is that one hand that happens every night that I play blackjack where I'll end up having to split and then double and then split again and then double, and the dealer's got a 6 showing. And if the dealer pops over a 10 and then drops down another 10, I'm going to walk out of there a rich man. If she pops over a 5 and then drops down a 10, or she pops over a 10 and drops down a 5, I'm screwed for the night. There's that one hand, and it's like a $500 swing because I've got $250 on the table or something like that. And if I win it, it's $500. If I lose it, it's $0. To the Titans and DeAndre. If they get DeAndre, how good is that for them? Where do you see them? And if they end up at this point not getting DeAndre, the swing, if they end up not getting him, how detrimental will that be not only for the team but also the morale surrounding the team, given the excitement right now that I think the Titans have about adding DeAndre?
Yeah, it changes the entire way that I predict their season. And, like, I you know me, man, I'm not, like, super big on the, oh, my God, big hot takes. But for me, in this situation, they desperately need DeAndre Hopkins for what he offers their offense, for what he offers Tannehill, for what he offers for defenses to have to account for, and what that means for Derrick Henry, everything that we know about, right? And you're talking about an AFC South that I know everybody's madly in love with the Jags, and I understand why, but, like, I got to see it twice before I get that in love with it. Like, the Jags, that was a really nice first date. Let's see what they do running it back. And you and I have talked a lot over the last couple of months. I think the national media is a little bit too far south on the Titans right now. But in my mind, if you want somebody that's going to make it a valuable, viable difference in win-loss total, DeAndre Hopkins is that. Without DeAndre Hopkins, we're right back to where we were the day after the draft in the conversation about the Titans. And that is not a good place to be in. Like, they put themselves in this situation with no wide receiving weapons. They have got to get DeAndre Hopkins. Like, this, to use you use the blackjack analogy, and you never want to chase when you're gambling, but sometimes you go, to an auction and you've got your eye on this one thing that you really want, and all day you've just been thinking about it. At the end of the auction, you go too nuts, you spend too much, but you still feel good about it because you got what you wanted. That's where I think the Titans have to be with DeAndre Hopkins moving forward. They have got to be willing to go over what they wanted to spend to get him in there because he makes a viable win-loss difference for them right now this season.
How much do you think it would affect the relationship between Vrabel, Ran Carthon, and the fans if they end up missing on DeAndre Hopkins? And do you think, big picture, that matters?
I don't think the relationship with the fans, I don't think most teams really care about that. I wish they did. I don't think they do. When it comes to Ran, I think the hardest part here is that, if you're looking at Ran Carthon, we have to remember this is his first stab at this, right? Like, this entire process is still relatively new for him. So it's his chance to really go out and show he can get this job done, knowing what they came from and the lack of trust that there was at the end of the relationship before. I don't think you really want to set Vrabel off on that same foot of, like, I can't get things done, right? We all know that Vrabel seems to be in many ways largely a shot caller in everything that happens. But if you've gotten to this point, then you've gotten to this point with Rand being heavily involved in my mind, which means he needs to seal the deal. I don't think they're sitting there thinking, well, if we don't do this, Titans fans are going to be upset. I don't think most teams care that much, unfortunately. But I think internally you can't plant a seed of doubt this early in your relationship with Vrabel of not being able to get the deal done that everybody thought was done.
Jason Fitz is with us. Fitz, should I be worried that one of the things that everybody told us about Peter Skoronski was he was a leader, and at Northwestern, he was a guy in that locker room that everybody relied on and counted on, and now we know what was going on in the Northwestern locker room?
I wouldn't be worried about it simply because the character of some is not the character of everyone. But I do think that it's pretty fair to have all eyes on him, particularly when he speaks to the media. I don't think that he's in a situation because of what you just mentioned and because he is really in many ways the face of what we just saw from Northwestern football. I don't think he can come out and no comment this. I think we've got to start hearing from people like that. And I've said this loudly over the last couple of days to my buddies, for anybody that says, well, Coach was never in the locker room. I don't care. You can't create a situation where you're that blind to what's happening in the locker room. It doesn't. You can have that players only all day. If that's happening, coach has to be aware. And if he's not aware, then you got to ask a lot of questions about who wasn't talking to who and what culture wasn't created that was allowing people to be comfortable. That's all stuff that Fitzgerald is going to have to look in the mirror and ask himself before he takes his next job somewhere. But yeah, Skoronski definitely is and was, by all indications in my draft prep, a leader of young men. So I think he's going to have to step up and be the leader in this situation and answer tough questions.
I think the thing that would bother me more than anything is not that I think Skoronski's a bad guy or, not that, and I don't know, not that I thought that Skoronski's probably a part of this, but, it's what we do know. We know what happened. We know that it happened, and we know that the team knew about it, and I think it's safe to assume that Skoronski didn't stop it, and that I think is concerning. Because, if he stops it, then what's that say to his team? I'm like, if he's supposed to be the leader, then he's got to have the courage to stand up and say it's wrong or something like that. And that's kind of the hang-up that I have of, if he's such a great leader, why did he not step up in that instance? And I agree with you. I don't think pleading the fifth is going to help him out here, but I think he's going to do it anyways.
Yeah, well, and to your point, I think what I'm waiting to see through all the reports is how far it permeated, who was involved, and how much of the culture it was. The reports so far look really bad, right? There's no two ways about it. And but you're right. Like, if I'm going to hold Fitzgerald to the "how did you not know" comment, then I got to hold Skoronski the same way because he was a leader on that team. The veteran players had to know what was happening, and they were either a part of it or they were complicit in it. And either way, that's wildly uncomfortable for everybody. And I've taken the time to text buddies that played college football at the highest level and asked, hey, tell me what hazing is like. Am I missing something? And to a man, every single person has responded with, no, this isn't like anything I've ever seen before. So I think he's got to answer for why that happened under his watch. Yeah, for sure.
Jason Fitz joining us on the program. As always, Fitz, great stuff. Appreciate your time. Oh, by the way, what'd you think of those pants in the All-Star game last night?
Yeah. Why? Where were you on it? Were you pro them?
I'm about to go nuts on that next.
Okay, good. I was going to be surprised. I was about to be surprised.
Well, so Caroline, I've known Caroline now long enough. I feel like she could say whatever she wants to me. So I went to Tropicana Field this weekend to watch the Rays play the Braves, and I don't know. Have you ever been to Tropicana Field before?
No.
So I loved it. I mean, all I've ever heard for 15 years is people complain about Tropicana Field and how bad it is, and so I was expecting a real crap hole when I got in there. And it was a nice stadium, and it felt like Bridgestone Arena with just, a baseball stadium in there instead of a hockey. And, one of those old school kind of Teflon roofs. But I loved it. Like, I thought it was great. And so Caroline today accused me when we were changing over shows or during one of the breaks or whatever. She said the only reason why I like that stadium is because nobody else likes that stadium. And I was like, oh, she's calling me a contrarian. That's where she's going with that. And so I was thinking that maybe you thought that I would have said that I like those pants from the All-Star game because you think that I'm a contrarian too, but you guys just don't want to come out and say it.
No, I do think you're a contrarian, but not to that level. Like, you still believe what you say, and I don't think anybody could really believe that those pants were a good thing.
All right, let's get to the pants next. Fitz, great stuff. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yep. Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025. I got to get this off my chest. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106 The Game.
When it comes to Nashville sports,
locking up Jeffrey Simmons, clearly that was a priority for them.
He knows his stuff.
A little bit good, a little bit bad.
And knows how to push the right buttons.
He's coming off an ACL tear, and he's 25 years old, so you cannot ignore that.
Join Outkick's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman & Company. Withrow.
What I hate more than anything is people that are phony and not true to themselves.
Is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
In countries around the world, people don't have free speech. They can be harassed, jailed, and punished for expressing their honest opinions. That's why for more than 20 years, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, has been fighting to ensure that America never abandons its commitment to free expression. Because FIRE believes that free speech makes free people. Join the free speech movement at thefire.org. Paid for by thefire.org.
We pride ourselves on being transparent, opening up the books, and sharing all the secrets of the diamond industry. We have a passion for this, and part of having a passion is sharing that passion.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper says, at Genesis, you don't just get an entry-level course in diamonds, you get a PhD.
We love educating our customers, even over-educating our customers about diamonds and gemstones, so they can truly see the difference in what we offer.
At Genesis, diamonds are not a side business. It's their only business.
We eat, breathe, and sleep diamonds.
So whether you end up buying at Genesis or not, come for the education.
The better educated we can make you at Genesis Diamonds, the better a shopper you're going to be, whether you shop with us or anyone else. You will be able to tell the difference and know what you are buying, so you make the best decision for you.
Genesis Diamonds, proud to offer one of the largest selections of GIA-certified diamonds in the nation, with no middleman markups, no retail pricing games, no commission salespeople, and no nonsense. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
As a dentist, I know what my patients are saying when they really can't speak. She says her gums have been bleeding. Is there anything you can do? Absolutely. You can try New Crest Gum Detoxify and Restore. Yep, New Crest Gum Detoxify and Restore is professionally designed to start healing gums from day one. Right. Healthy gums, healthy mouth.
Crest Gum Detoxify and Restore. Smile, Crest has you covered.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
When it comes to Chase McCabe,
the Nashville Predators, the Titans, the NBA, college football, talk a little racing.
You get a little bit of everything.
But hey, you know what? We're getting it done.
Join Chase McCabe weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Look, I feel like our 2023 first half is the best first half we had since I've been around 1988. And there's a lot of things. I mean, I think the balanced schedule is a huge plus. Gives fans a chance to see great players. The WBC was a real lift going into the season. And then, the rule changes, I'm big on them. I was big on them going in. Hats off to our players. They adjusted quickly, and, with exceptions, and there's always going to be exceptions. The fact that they were positive about the rule changes, creates this nice cycle. The fans like them. The players say that they're good with them. It makes the fans like them even more. It really kind of gets you going.
There you go. That was Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, last night before the All-Star game. And I have to agree with Rob Manfred. I think that baseball has had the best first half they've had in forever. And I cannot say enough positive things about baseball. I really can't. Did you know that the Home Run Derby drew 2 million more viewers than the NBA All-Star Game did? Think about that. We got the pitch clock in baseball. Games are shorter than ever. Manfred put out there yesterday that the median ticket buyer is 3 years younger than before. And considering that baseball's a sport where a lot of us have been worried about the fact that these guys take out their teeth and put them in the glass next to the bed before they go to bed every night, that's a step in the right direction. They've got real stars like Shohei Ohtani and Ronald Acuna. I mean, I think things are on the up and up for baseball. We talked about this all day yesterday. Baseball's back. And Manfred has not been a good commissioner. Now, I think he gets too much blame and not enough credit, but he's done a lot of stupid stuff. Which leads me to the All-Star game last night. I watched the All-Star game, and I am kind of curious. I'm sure it's come out. I just haven't seen it, but I'm curious, the ratings, see how I thought I was going to get a horrible rating. I thought it was an entertaining game, so I think there's a chance that it might be better than expected. But All-Star games are All-Star games. And then they showed the uniforms. Now, I think the idea of every player wearing the same uniform in the All-Star game is not needed. I think that the way that it used to be where everybody wore the uniform of the team that they played for, so you would have an Arizona Diamondback wearing his Diamondbacks uniform next to a Brave who's wearing a Braves uniform, next to a Cub who's wearing a Cubs uniform. I thought that was great for forever. I thought it was part of the pageantry of the game. I thought it was something that made it special for fans to see their colors and their team and their uniform out there. I liked it the way it was. I thought it was great, and I thought it was the definition of if it's not broke, do not try to fix it. Then Manfred decided, we're going to have an All-Star Game jersey, and it was stupid 2 years ago, and then I think everybody forgot about it. But the worst part about this last night was the National League was wearing blue tops with black pants. It's almost like they got the order confused. Like when they were sitting there and they say, okay, we've ordered the tops, they're this color. We've ordered the pants, they're this color. And somebody opens the boxes and goes, dude, I don't think these are the same colors. That's what it looked like last night. It looked like high school softball uniforms. I mean, it was embarrassing. It was so beneath the game. And it disgusts me as a baseball fan that the biggest night of the year outside of the World Series, they ruin it by putting these star players in crap uniforms. It's not like what you had was broken and then you tried to fix it and you made it significantly worse. And if I don't yell and scream about this and if other people don't yell and scream about it, then Major League Baseball will actually think that they did a good thing. The only reason Major League Baseball changed these archaic rules of guys standing around scratching themselves for 45 seconds before every pitch is because enough people complained about it and they rubbed their faces in it saying, hey, you guys are killing your sport. And now we've got a guy on the Reds that steals second base, third base, and home. And it's exciting. And the game's fun. And so they took probably one of the best parts about the All-Star Game, the Midsummer Classic. They took probably one of the best parts and just ruined it for no reason because Nike said, we think we should do this. And the other thing that drives me crazy is the idea of everybody sitting around a boardroom table in New York at the Major League Baseball offices when they had the PowerPoint presentation probably back in February about what the All-Star uniforms were going to look like with the executives from Nike, and they're sitting there and not one person in that room raised their hand and said, hey, I think that these uniforms are hideous. What was wrong with the way that we used to do it? Or can we do better than this because it's so bad? Other than that, great All-Star Game, great first half, great home run derby. I think everything's right on pace. But those pants last night, so unbecoming of baseball. It's like I hate these uniform patches because I think it's so low rent that it's like, hey, we've got to we got to put on this patch because we got to raise money for our cleats this year. Thank you to the law offices of Johnson and Smith for sponsoring our T-ball team. So that drives me crazy. The Yankees, those iconic Babe Ruth uniforms, they're going to have a patch on them. That drives me crazy. But that doesn't drive me crazy like this does. Those pants last night, that was so ugly. Those uniforms were hideous. It's a disgrace to baseball. It's a disgrace to the baseball fans and everything that they're working to accomplish on their big night. Just brutal. Just awful. And so I know Nike will come up with something stupider next year, and I'll be equally as triggered as I was last night. I mean, I think black pants in baseball should be criminalized anyways. I mean, I don't think in the major leagues or college, Vandy should wear black pants. If you're home, you wear white pants. If you're on the road, you wear gray pants. Now, you do whatever you want with the top. I don't mind that. But I think that you should wear the pants of the home team or the pants of the road team every time. But those last night, I mean, that was just ridiculous. That was embarrassing. Just awful. And so I had to get that off my chest. And look, maybe, they'll learn their lesson. If enough people complain about it, then maybe they'll learn their lesson. And they'll just go back to the way it was when everybody wore their home uniform. And I thought it looked great. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The DeAndre Hopkins odds are now striking right in the Titans' favor. Minus 300 from plus 500 yesterday. Joe Rexroad is back for Jared versus Joe. Next, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106 for the game.
It's been an offseason of change for the Nashville Predators.
Still going to be a relatively young roster. Johansson's gone, Duchesne's gone.
The Nashville Predators are interested, potentially, in a Brett Pesce.
They did trade Ekholm, Granlund, Tanner Jeannot.
What's next for Smashville's team?
They want to get younger. They're going to have to move a piece.
We have you covered with every move on your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Teron Davenport, and we're changing the game. Help your bets stay hot this summer at Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now, when you use the promo code The Game, you score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code The Game. Download the Superbook Sports app, enter the promo code The Game, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
This is it. The legendary live band Fish returns to the road this fall. Fish, Friday, October 6th, Saturday, October 7th, and Sunday, October 8th, Bridgestone Arena. On sale this Saturday, 10 a.m. at livenation.com.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt. And I think he's going to coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Joe's back. It's midnight. Joe's been gone for the last, what feels like forever. And Joe, it is nice to have you finally back from your long, extended, much-needed vacation that took you away from covering the draft for The Athletic, which meant that I paid money to have nobody cover the Predators during the draft in their own building. Good to see you, Joe.
Oh, you were mad about that while in Turks and Caicos or whatever? Did you send in a complaint from Turks and Caicos?
No, I was at the draft when that happened. I was in Turks and Caicos when nothing was going on. That was the whole point of why I went when I went. Just saying.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Caroline, always good to see you.
But I don't get enthusiasm.
But you haven't been gone for the last however many weeks.
Yeah, but I haven't seen you in 3 hours. Don't you miss me?
I know, right? Especially after you called me a contrarian earlier today. But
well, you were being a wee bit of a contrarian.
That takes us to Jared versus Joe. Oh, David. Oh, you were doing so good. Can you find it? I believe in you, David. Should we cheer David along?
David, just play Toonces the Cat song. Play the Toonces song.
Oh, there you go.
Jared Stillman versus
Way to go,
Joe
David.
Road. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
Jared versus Joe is presented by Pella Windows and Doors in Nashville and Parman Tractor and Equipment. Get your new Holland tractors and Bush Hogs today. Caroline, go.
All right, we're going to repeat one that we had last week because now that Joe Rexrode is back in town, he's got some explaining to do. Joe, I'd like you to go first. Is the Titans' number one summer concern the secondary?
Wait, set this one up. Last week, Joe wrote in The Athletic they had all 32 teams' concerns, and for some crazy crackpot reason, Joe Rexrode thought the secondary was the biggest concern.
Okay, let me see here. Is that exactly how it was phrased? I just want to make sure. Because first of all, since I wrote that, Nicholas Petit-Frere happened. So I reserve the right to react to new information. I don't remember it being exactly it's the concern. Wasn't it phrased a little bit differently than that?
One summer concern for all 32 NFL teams.
Okay, yeah, one, yeah. So to be clear on that, that doesn't mean here is the biggest. In fact, we're kind of encouraged, if you think of something that's not totally obvious, do that. So that's why I did the secondary. No, I don't think the secondary is. Well, that's absolutely true. And if you go through all, I think a lot of those are a little bit off the beaten path. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be the number one concern. No, the secondary is not the number one concern. It's always been between offensive line and receivers as the number one concern, the most important, the most pressing concern. I guess I'll go back to O-line now because of the Petit-Frere thing, because I just don't. I mean, the schedule is toughest at the beginning, and they don't have the right tackle.
Well, right now, my biggest concern is the offensive line. I mean, I think PT sucks, so I'm not sure that it really matters one way or another if he's there. And hopefully this will
suck.
He sucks now?
Oh, I think PT was awful last year. The only hope that I have for him is that the only hope that I have for Petit-Frere, I think the only reason why people don't think that Petit-Frere freaking stinks is because Dennis Daly was on the other side grabbing all the headlines. But I thought Petit-Frere was awful. And on top of that, the only hope I have for Petit-Frere was that I just don't think that rookies can practice much in the NFL. So, like on the offensive line, because they don't wear pads. So I feel like in order for a rookie offensive lineman to get up to snuff, that they had the way to do it is to go through the game. So my hope was that like last year was basically a practice year for Petit-Frere and that he would be better this year. I'm really not sold on him. I mean, the guy has the physical talent to be the top tackle in the high school class that he came out of and played left tackle at Ohio State and then fell into the third round. And he's obviously not smart enough to know the gambling rules, and he's the only guy on the team that didn't know them. So, I mean, that's a huge concern for me. Was that he was a concern, period, before he went out. The number one reason why it's offensive line right now is because I'm buying into the hype on these odds that have shifted today, that DeAndre Hopkins at minus 300 up from plus 500 yesterday on DraftKings means they're probably going to get DeAndre Hopkins. Like it's all the tea leaves are starting to go into that kind of place. And if DeAndre Hopkins is signed, you got Burks, Hopkins starters. I can live with that. Then everybody's in the right seat where they should be. Phillips can play the slot, or if you move DeAndre inside on certain plays, then Chris Moore can go in there, and I'm fine with Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akina battling it out at training camp for the third wide receiver spot. What I'm not okay with is them competing for the second wide receiver spot. So it was receiver right there with offensive line, but now that I think DeAndre is going to be on the team, I'll go offensive line too.
All right, on to the next.
Hey, yeah, go ahead.
Well, go ahead, Joe.
No, I do. I just want to say, in your defense, I just read the intro of that story, and it does say, "What is your team's biggest concern?" That's not how it was framed to us when we filled it out, or at least that's not what I read. So maybe we just uncovered me screwing up something at the end. I thought I would don't tell anybody.
How many concerns do you have before you get to secondary?
Well, I would say that that's a solid 3. You know, I mean, I think that's a solid 3rd in terms of the health. Because, again, the answer that I gave was, will the secondary be whole, healthy, and happy? You know, in particular, I mean, the health is a big thing, right? I mean, is Fulton going to play all year?
Well, I mean, isn't the health of the defensive line a big thing, too? Because Harold Landry's coming back from an ACL, and we're always told that the first year with the ACL is not really the breakthrough year, it's the second year. And so I'm more concerned about that than I am the health of the secondary. If that defensive line gets to the quarterback, then I don't care who you put out there. You put Greg Maben out there, I don't care.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Jonathan Joseph 5 times, and they're fine per Jared.
That was 2020 when they had the worst pass rush in the history of the NFL because they thought you were right and signed Clowney.
Right, but again, your exaggeration of like defensive backs don't actually matter. It's only about pass rush.
I don't think it matters as much as the pass rush. So if we're talking about concern, the health of the secondary, the health of Landry is more important to me than the health of the secondary.
Yeah, I mean the health of Landry is a concern, but I think everyone should just have the proper expectations. He's been an incredibly durable player. He's probably not going to be full Harold Landry. I think you should just expect that right now, right?
I mean, so then wouldn't Burks
Are we going to do this all day?
Well, I'm just saying. I think your idea that the secondary is the third biggest concern is ridiculous. Bad enough that it was the first, but it's worse when it's the third. No, it's bad enough when it's third. It was worse when it was first.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Caroline.
Yes.
Okay, I've been waiting for this one. Jared, you go first. A video on Instagram shows Will Levis working out, throwing balls, and a picture of him walking off the field with a football in one hand and a tripod with his phone on it in the other. Is that wrong of Will Levis?
Well, that wasn't the only thing that was wrong with Will Levis. The other two was he was making sure that everybody knew that he was wearing his throwback Pete Rose jersey. Which,
pardon for not including that in the initial question.
I don't know. We doing a fashion show and a photo shoot, or we playing football? Like, is it one or the other? And I said this, you know, in one arm of that video, Will Levis has 2 footballs, a Gatorade towel, and a water bottle. And in the other arm, he's got a tripod with his phone. And it was almost like, you know, the hands of liberty or the arms of justice, where it's, you know, right here in this arm, I've got my football career, and right here in this right arm, I've got my social media marketing career, and they're equally as important. And it is like, dude, like Matt Jones said this perfectly when I said that I think that Levis is 90% good quarterback and everything I would want in a competitor and 10% bozo. And Matt Jones said, can we change the 10% bozo to 10% cringe? That is the cringe. Like, oh, I've got my phone and I've got my tripod to take videos of me throwing in a Pete Rose jersey. Let's put it on Instagram. I mean, it's like, dude, you're the quarterback. Like, just get to work. I think, what was it Joe Burrow says? Work in the darkness. Work in the darkness. Don't take the phone. Like, let's just don't do the PK Subban in which PK would put up his workout videos. And I had somebody from the Preds tell me that they were joking that was the only working out that PK did, was the 30-second videos he put on Instagram. Don't do that. So I'm against it.
I mean, are you kidding me, dude?
What?
Like, this is in the world of your nothing burgers, and I mean, you have built a nothing burger empire. I mean, this one doesn't even have lettuce in it, man.
She asked the question how I felt about it, and I said, I think it's ridiculous.
You introduced this to the world. You decided, you know what? Let's do some segments on Will Levis's Instagram video. Like everybody in sports today doesn't do stupid Instagram videos of their workouts.
Not
whatever,
everybody fell in the draft
whatever.
because of their Instagramming. Not everybody plays quarterback, and not everybody has been criticized as heavily as Will Levis has for this exact thing.
You think he dropped in the draft because of Instagramming?
I think that the Will Levis 10% cringe, which comes from Phil Simms getting on him for taking pictures of himself and those workout selfies, I do think that that is why he fell in the draft. Like, if I'm Tampa Bay, I think Tampa Bay should have drafted Will Levis over Kalijah Kancey because they don't have a quarterback, but they didn't. He fell in the draft, and it wasn't because of his toe. He fell in the draft because teams were unsure about his personality. And this is what plays into that. Just like Matt Jones said, 90% of everything I want in a quarterback, 10% cringe.
The reason that he fell is because teams aren't sure if he's going to be consistently accurate enough in the NFL. I mean, the whole personality thing for any team that looked into it, yeah, he's a little maybe too type A. Cringe is fine. That's fine. But that's not – I mean, that's glossing over what really matters.
I would argue that personality is more important than accuracy when it comes to drafting a quarterback.
But the personality, that stuff that matters, which is, do your teammates like you? Yes, they immediately beg for him to be captain. Do you rally people together? Do you come in and work your butt off and show up an hour before everybody and leave an hour late? All that stuff. It's all check, 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 as high as you can check a box. Not that you can check a box high, but you know what I'm saying. This is fine. It's cringe. How much of this generation is cringe, dude? Are you kidding me? You do these stupid videos, and now you're going to turn this on him? Come on. This is a joke. I mean, plus the phone, wouldn't that be perhaps that he wants to record this and then go back and watch it?
No. It's all for the
so he
brand.
Can analyze himself? No.
That for his fashion show with his Pete Rose jersey on. You know what Tom Brady does when he works out? And Tom Brady's allowed to have a brand because Tom Brady has Super Bowls, and Tom Brady started the brand
Let's
after
talk about
the
a
Super
dude who
Bowls.
went to college in the 90s. Let's talk about a dude who went to college in the 90s.
But you know what
Okay,
Tom
tell me
Brady?
what he did.
You know what Tom Brady worked out wearing? When he would work out in his backyard this time of the year with his snake oil salesman trainer, he would be wearing shoulder pads and a helmet. You know why? Because he was training. Because he was training on how to play in the games. And in the games, he wears shoulder pads and a helmet. Will Levis, I got my Pete Rose throwback jersey on. It's like, no, for Levis, it's about the brand. Just like when he asked Peyton Manning and Eli Manning in the behind-the-scenes Manning documentary or whatever, and in the questions, Anthony Richardson asks about being a leader. Hendon Hooker asks about how to make it to the league, and Will Levis asks about how to separate football from marketing, and Peyton Manning basically rolled his eyes. That's what that was. And Will Levis has got to cut that out, and, once he starts winning and playing football well, do whatever you want. But until then, you have to realize that everybody is looking at you sideways because they've been looking at you sideways the whole time. And you just want to just act like it just didn't, that people weren't turned off by his personality going into the draft.
But only one person is overacting in an incredibly comical way about it all. That's you.
Because I'm the only one that thinks that it matters when it clearly affected his draft stock. Would you say it didn't affect his draft stock?
I mean, this is so stupid.
I mean, I think Rich Gannon telling him to leave his mom and his sister at home because he looked like a Don Juan with his mom, sister, and girlfriend, I thought that was stupid. But everything else, that was crazy. I'm sorry, Abby, but you're too hot. You can't come to the draft because I don't want people to see my hot sister. But I think for me, like with Levis, the reason why I do feel the need to be so hard on him is because this is clearly something that has followed him. The idea, whether it's fair or not, the idea that he's too cocky, the idea that he's too caught up in the marketing, the idea that he's too caught up in his brand, as opposed to just, being a quarterback, and it has already affected his career.
Into the fabrication of this stuff. Like, again, no one has questioned the guy's work ethic or desire. The question is he good enough? And I don't know. That's the question.
But
that's
what's inside your heart and inside your head and the way you carry yourself as a quarterback is more important than any other position, and it does matter. And you keep acting like all the off-the-field stuff didn't affect his draft stock, but that's not what everybody else – that's not what Charles Davis is saying. That's not what everybody else is saying.
I have not heard one credible person say his interest in brand and stuff that's not football is why he dropped. Find me the person. If Charles said it, then I'll listen to it. But I have not heard that at all. Have I heard too much type A? Maybe he turned teams out because he want. What Hasselbeck told me is it's like he wants it so bad, and some teams are a little bit, taken aback by that. Okay, the idea that he's just all about his brand and his Pete Rose jersey. That's BS.
Okay, so if I get one person, if I get one credible person, then you'll concede Jared versus Joe.
I'm not conceding anything, but at least have something to stand on. We got nothing.
More Jared versus Joe coming up next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Let me tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. That's right. I love my friends at Hiller, and they take absolute great care of my home, and they can do the exact same for you. Do not know how I can put Joe on hold on these phones. These new phones we got. Was that it? No, I don't think that worked. I'm just pressing buttons at this point. I dropped them. We'll call them back. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Those are my guys. They take great care of me. They can do the exact same for you. That's right. Hiller's been taking care of my home for years, and I trust them just like you should. Hiller is keeping you chillin' all summer long with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy this summer. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. Like when you purchase a select new HVAC system, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Panga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And you'll get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. Stay chillin' all summer long. Call today. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free Guarantee, and I know this because I use Hiller myself. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
What a stop by UC Sarah.
Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Hey, it's Jared for PhD Weight Loss. I love the PhD Weight Loss program, and I've blown past the 20-pound mark. And I've done it all while enjoying the summer and traveling on vacations. I love the PhD program because it's simple for me to understand and to activate. And quite frankly, because it works. I feel so much better about myself because I feel in control of my weight, and I get excited when I continue to see my progress. If you're someone who has struggled to lose weight, go online to myphdweightloss.com and check it out for yourself. Learn about the program, the coaching, and the guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers organization and fans, online at myphdweightloss.com.
Hang on. It's going to be a wild ride. The PBR team's champions, the Nashville Stampede, are coming home in a run to defend their title. Stampede Days, August 18th through 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Heart-pounding action you don't want to miss. Tickets start at $20. Get yours today at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Yeah, we coming.
Join us for the ride.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to theGameNashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexrode. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
Jared versus Joe, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Of course, be sure to get your bush hogs. That's right. And by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Okay, so Joe has made the argument that nobody credible thinks that Will Levis fell in the first round or out of the first round because of his personality. Caroline, is that what you heard?
That is what I heard.
Okay. Let's start.
No, hold on. Don't say another word. I said the crap you're talking about. Question is ability. There are personality things, yes. This like he's worried about his brand more than football? No.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying is ridiculous.
Okay, let's just go. Let Charles Davis. He's
I bought
credible.
into, obviously, Houston not taking a quarterback at 2. Mistake. So I said they take the quarterback at 12 and still get their defender. Got that wrong. The injury thing kicked in as well. Toe injury that he played through last year. A number of teams were dinging him for it and didn't want to use a high pick for him on that. Plus, I think there was some misevaluation going in. As we got closer to the draft, when I say misevaluation, I think some teams really, as they kept digging into it, kept coming back to whatever concerned them about young Mr. Will Levis came more to the front than it did before.
When they started digging in on Will Levis, whatever it was that concerned them, it just seemed to come back to the forefront.
Do we know that's social media stuff?
I mean, that's what I think it is. What about Rich Gannon?
Of course, that's what you think it is.
What about Rich Gannon? Does he count?
That's it?
What, hold up.
That's what you got?
What about Rich Gannon? Does he count? Former MVP in the NFL?
Clearly, teams had issues with Will Levis. And then there was this rumor floating around that it was a toe and that was causing – that, I think, was nonsense. I just think that for whatever reason, there was things, whether it was on tape, whether it was during getting to know the player in the sit-down interviews and conversations and visits, that they just didn't feel comfortable with.
Does that not count?
Dude, this is what you're bringing to the table right now? Jared, I spent like 2 weeks and wrote like 3,000 words about the whole Will Levis personality.
Yes, his parents said that he's great.
No, buddy, no. Hey, buddy. I talked to people, a lot of people, including people in this organization who are not quoted. You think? Don't be a jackass.
And his mom.
Seriously, you want to try to get into an argument like this and then come with BS like that?
And then Matt Jones, he counts. This is what Matt Jones said after the Titans drafted Will Levis. You said some of it was his fault that he fell, some of it wasn't. What was his fault?
Well, he is a little bit of a cocky kid. Now, that works when you're really good. All right, so we celebrate dudes who are completely cocky when they're good. So we celebrate Jordan, Bird, LeBron, who talk a lot of trash because they're good. We don't celebrate Dylan Brooks, who talks the same amount of trash because he's not as good. So I think what happened with Will Levis, he talked a lot of trash, and he also was very, very confident. And so the question is, did he have the reputation and the sort of, performance to back up that talk? And some people thought no. And then when he got into the process, during the first day of the NFL Combine, I do some work on ESPN, and I had 2 different ESPN people write me and say, I know you really like Will. Contact him and tell him to take it down a notch. He's turning teams off. And I did that through a person that knows him. And I think that did come down a little bit later in the process, but I think a lot of teams were like, who is this kid that thinks he, is amazing?
So.
Right. So again, Jared, no, I agree with what he said. The cockiness, the brashness on the field. Now, you beat people. Everybody thought he was QB1 a year ago, right? That's all fine. You're talking about, he's got a Pete Rose jersey and he's your stuff that you've isolated here is not part of the conversation. It never has been. And you're making it up and you're fabricating it. So good job.
I'm not making anything up. He wore the jersey.
Dude, none of this stuff backs up your garbage that we are now wasting our time talking about today.
We'll have to let the judge decide. Caroline, I think we have time for one more debate. What's next?
Okay, well, I have to be a little bit picky and choosy here. Mike Reese, reporter on ESPN.com, reported is maybe a strong word, but wrote on ESPN.com that the Titans have been more aggressive than the Patriots in their pursuit of DeAndre Hopkins. Does that make you feel better about the Titans' chances of getting DeAndre Hopkins, about the same, or worse? Jared, you go first.
Well, I mean, it definitely makes me feel better because I think that money really matters here. If money didn't matter, then it would be the Chiefs of the Bills. But money does matter. And so when I'm told, hey, the Titans are making a more aggressive offer, what that tells me is they're willing to pay more money, which makes sense because the Patriots are a cheap organization. I mean, I don't know why somebody would pick, if everything was even, Titans or Patriots, I don't know why he would pick the Patriots over the Titans. But apparently, they're not even. So the fact that it's not even, I mean, it makes me think they're going to get DeAndre Hopkins. So is it a big deal? Yeah, it's a big deal. That money's the most important thing to DeAndre, and it sounds like the Titans are offering the most. And unless somebody gets hurt on an owner that's willing to, pay an extra $15 million that owner didn't originally want to pay, I think you've got a great shot at getting DeAndre Hopkins. And I think the Reese report is kind of what's kicked off this week in terms of the skyrocketing odds that have the Titans landing DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, I think it's a big deal.
I don't know about a big deal, but I would say that the only concern that I would have, if it's between these two teams, would be if their offer was absolutely better than yours. Yours being the Titans. So I do think that little nugget is a confirmation that the Titans offer is a little better, and so I think you should feel a little bit better about it. I think the Titans are in a good position, barring this unforeseen circumstance that maybe Hopkins is hoping unfolds. So I mean, right now, this whole thing with the odds going crazy in the last day. I don't know if you want to read too much into that. Look, we've seen that happen before, where just one media report will just flip things on their ear, and then they'll go back. So
one tweet from some random nobody will flip the betting odds on its head sometimes.
Right. So I don't know that that's a lot too much to make too much out of, but I think the Titans are definitely in the best position.
Caroline, who wins this week?
This is a toughie because, Jared, you promised receipts. The receipts I don't think delivered, but
what?
Also no.
The receipts didn't deliver.
Stop it.
No, they didn't deliver.
Nobody is going to come out and say, yeah, you know what? Will Levis acts like a total I can't think of a radio appropriate word on social media. So a total chotch on social media. So we're not going to draft him in the first round. Like, nobody's going to come out and say it. But I do think this whole trying too hard Don Juan routine does kind of count into social media. But also, all of that being said, like, CJ Stroud just posted on Instagram, like, grinding day in and day out. There's, like, pictures of him and Kyle Kuzma working out together. Like, it's not like Will Levis is not the only rookie or player in the NFL that does this. So I have to give Joe an edge there. But also, Joe does deserve a retroactive loss for writing what he wrote about the secondary in The Athletic.
So who wins?
Joe wins this week.
Even though Joe deserves a retroactive loss?
But your receipts did not deliver this week.
What did you want?
Your receipts were garbage.
I wanted the receipts to say.
You wanted Charles Davis to say he fell because these teams think he's an a-hole.
Yes.
They're not going to say that.
Well,
no, but the receipts did not say what you said, Jared.
Matt Jones said people were telling him, hey, the scouts are telling me at the combine, you need to talk to Levis and tell him to bring it down a notch.
You pushed all your cards in on the table on these clips, on these receipts, and I'm sorry, it did not pay off.
I think you both are crazy. I think you both are lost your minds. And I think that's why the whole fan base hated Levis to begin with, is all the social media stuff. Well, that and that he was ranked higher, went to Kentucky, and lost against their guy. I think there's.
And apparently, too, like TD said that he was taking chips from team meetings. Apparently, that turned them off a lot, too.
Chips?
Yeah, I believe it was TD that said he walked into like team meetings, and on his way out, he grabbed a couple bags of chips without asking.
And that turned them off?
Apparently.
Very George Costanza of him.
I mean, I am way more bothered by the take my tripod out here like I'm some Instagram. Like, where's the ring light, Will? I'm more bothered by that than I would be by the chips.
No, I know you are. I know you are.
Were you more bothered by the chips or the tripod and the ring light and the influencer?
Well, the tripod and ring light happened post-draft. Like, that's annoying. Like, the video it's cringe for sure. The chips I don't really get, but there are weird things that NFL general managers care about that I would never care about.
My thing with Levis is I just think people don't like him. Like, I just think that there's like something there, and I think this is kind of part of it.
He has a bit of a punchable face. I will say that.
Texter says it's rigged and woke Joe did not win. King Jared won. That comes from one texter.
That comes from
who?
I don't believe it.
I don't know. We've had a big education today on the word woke on the program. So
good. I think we need to reestablish what the definition of that word is.
My Pat Fitzgerald take apparently is a little, bothers some people. Anyways, congratulations, Joe. It's good to have you back. Jared
enjoy your scrimmage, Joe.
Yes, enjoy your scrimmage, Joe.
Thank you.
Jared versus Joe, as always. We love it. Coming up next, the odds have shifted into the Titans' favor on the DeAndre watch. I talked to a source who works for a Vegas sportsbook in the odds department, and I said, what do we make of it? What they told me. Next, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to theGameNashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Genesis is actually a new beginning.
Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon talking about why it's called Genesis.
I love the symbolism of the name. It's a new beginning.
Boaz wanted the name of his company to mean something, to reflect his core values and the importance of starting relationships for people in love, as well as the relationship he wants with each and every customer.
It's a new beginning in their life for the relationship between us, the jeweler, the Genesis Diamond, and the customer, and it should last forever. Everything we do is for the customer.
Walk into Genesis and you can feel it. Genuine people who are solely focused on celebrating the best moments of your life.
It's not only my passion, it's my culture. Genesis is the book where God created the world, the day and night, the man and the woman. Every diamond engagement ring that we specially created for the customer is a new beginning for amazing, lasting relationship.
Come start your amazing, lasting relationship today at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
On July 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee, 4 men will compete in one boxing ring. Only one winner will be declared. Who will be the last man standing in the first ever Survivor Tag? KSI's Misfits Boxing is coming to Nashville. That's right, Misfits and DAZN are bringing Misfits 008 to the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, including some of the biggest names in the crossover and celebrity boxing space. The night will be packed full of action, including the first ever tag team boxing match in the U.S. Fighters on the night include gun expert Brandon Herrera, fan favorite B-Day, political activist Alex Stein, chart-topping rapper Swarms, lightweight champion Dean the Great, former BKFC champion Alan Belcher versus Hasim Rahman Jr., and many, many more. Misfits 008 tickets are available now, starting at $20 from Ticketmaster.com.
Hose and Belting Specialties in Murfreesboro is your local source for hydraulic, air, water, and chemical hoses, along with conveyor, timing, and metric belt needs. They stock metric fittings for both air and hydraulic applications. Hose and Belting Specialties stocks Parker hydraulic hoses and fittings, Goodyear ContiTech industrial hoses, and V-belts, just to name a few of their lines. For any of your industrial needs, call 615-895-HOSE, 615-895-HOSE.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You think that we get this third team that gets into the fray here, or is it just going to come down to New England or Tennessee, and he's pretty much waiting until training camp to sign?
Oh, I think there's more than 1-2 teams in it. I just don't think the third team's going to pay. I mean, I could see Buffalo being in it. I could see Kansas City being in it. I could see any team that wants to get a bargain for a slot receiver in it, but I don't think they're going to get the market to drive it up. You know, and I think he's going to have to rely on a receiver getting injured or a team becoming desperate. I think the only team he'll get more money out of will be Tennessee, because Tennessee certainly could use him. They need him. They don't have enough skill, they don't have enough explosiveness offensively. They certainly could use him.
That was Mike Lombardi on the GM Shuffle. And Mike Lombardi, with his co-host on his podcast, was then asked to follow up. So wait a minute. You think he's actually going to go to Tennessee?
Mike Reese is reporting that the Titans have been, quote, more aggressive to this point. So that goes in line with what you've been saying, that Tennessee could be the team that has the urgency to go ahead and sign him there. If you had your best guess, do you think he ends up in Tennessee, or does he go to New England, or do you think Tennessee is where he goes?
My guess is it's going to be Tennessee, because I think Tennessee will pay. I think Tennessee will stretch a little bit here.
Okay. So that's what Lombardi said. Now, it should be noted, I believe VSiN is either owned by DraftKings or partnering with DraftKings. And I do remember this because when we had Lombardi on at the Super Bowl, it was to talk about DraftKings. So just keep that in mind, because the big story today is that the odds for the Titans to land DeAndre Hopkins, according to DraftKings, went from plus 500 yesterday to minus 300 today. What does that mean? Well, Chase McCabe earlier, our resident betting expert, Chase popped in here, and I was like, what does that mean to you? And he said, that means to me that he's going to sign with the Titans. That's what Chase interpreted that as. I texted a Vegas source, somebody I know that works as an odds maker, or at least in the odds making department, in a very high spot for one of the gambling apps, sports books. I asked the question, what do you make of the DeAndre odds flipping from plus 500 to Tennessee minus 300 in the last 24 hours? And he said, quote, where there's smoke, there's fire. Boy, I do love hearing that. That makes me think DeAndre's a coming. But, he said, those markets are like most of the liquid draft markets, limited info, priced around speculation, and mostly just there to draw public money. If it goes plus 500 to minus 300, it could easily go back to plus money tomorrow if enough money comes in elsewhere. It kind of reminds me of the betting markets for, like, the presidential race, where you could watch the betting market the whole night, shift from Biden to Trump back to Biden and everything else. And I think it's kind of like that, right? Like, it's not like they have any inside info as much as it is just the speculation of, oh, wow, he's taken this state, this state, this state. Now shift it over to him on this side, that kind of thing, more so than anything else, which we did see a lot of. We did see a lot of the movement with the draft when it came to who was going to go number 2, who was going to go number 3, so on and so forth. So cap means a lie. If somebody says cap, that's a lie.
Yes.
Okay. Trying to learn this out, however, trying to learn through all the different stuff as this goes on. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in, 615-737-1025. I told you at the top of the show, before the draft odds flipped, I called it. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Titan. And that is and I have been moving around on this the whole time. At the beginning, when he got released, I thought he needs to be a Titan, but they're probably not going to go get him, and there's probably somebody else is going to get him, and all anybody was talking about was the Chiefs and the Bills anyways. Then it was announced he was coming here on a visit. So then I started to get my hopes up. Then we saw the Instagram posts. Really started to get my hopes up. Then he left. Then he went to New England. Then he posted with Matthew Judon. Hopes down. Then TD came on the program, and he said that the Titans are confident they're going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. Hopes went back up. By the way, Mike Reese, who reported that the Titans offer was more aggressive than the Patriots offer, he will join us on the TD Power Hour tomorrow at 3:30. The little ESPN connection there. But then all the speculation went back to New England. So my hopes went down. Then Mike Reese reported over the weekend that the Titans made a stronger offer. Then my hopes went back up. Now, as I'm just kind of moving through it all, I feel like I've seen enough and that the decision desk can render it down. I think the Titans, I'm calling it, not guaranteeing it, but I'm calling it. I think the Titans are going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. And now, I asked Fitz a question about, like, how do Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel, what happens with their relationship with the fans if they end up not getting DeAndre Hopkins? And I'm going to be totally honest with you. When I asked Fitz that question, I think I was almost projecting my own feelings because now I think they're going to get him. So what's going to happen with me and Rand Carthon and Vrabel if they end up not signing DeAndre Hopkins? Texter says you can't bet on the presidential election. Yes, you can. Texter, what are you talking about? Somebody says there's no wagering on the presidential election in any political race, then why do they have betting odds for it? They have betting odds for the elections, right? Like, it's like Michelle Obama plus 8,000. They definitely, like Elon Musk plus 10,000 for president. You can definitely bet it. I mean, just because two people have texted in and said that you can't bet on the presidential race. I learn more about this stuff every day, apparently. Allie in Bellevue says the tidbit from Caroline about Will Levis taking chips in meetings tells me way more about Will Levis than the Pete Rose tripod caption. I mean, he probably should have asked. You know, when you're in somebody else's house, like, you don't just go into like their pantry and take their stuff. We'll see. 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Here to tell you about Twice Daily. I love Twice Daily. In fact, I probably go more than twice daily to Twice Daily, which is kind of screwing it up, but thrice daily, I guess, for me, however you want to call it. There's one in my neighborhood. I love Twice Daily. Download the Twice Daily app today and join their loyalty program to unlock special discount savings and so much more. It pays to be a member with Twice Daily. You'll earn points and save money with every single visit. Get what you crave at Twice Daily. Made to order sandwiches, bakery, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, fresh items made to go. Hot drink, cold drinks, stop by the beer cave and unwind with a cold one. If you're looking for convenience, Twice Daily has you covered. And buy any hot dog piled high with your choice of toppings, a bag of Frito-Lay chips, and your choice of a 20-ounce Coke or Pepsi for only $5 with the app. Offer ends August 28th. Twice daily, fresh all day.
Hang on. It's going to be a wild ride. The PBR team's champions, the Nashville Stampede, are coming home in a run to defend their title.
Yo, we coming.
Stampede Days, August 18th through 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Heart-pounding action you don't want to miss. Tickets start at $20. Get yours today at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Yo, we coming.
Join us for the ride.
Hey, it's Jared for PhD Weight Loss. I love the PhD Weight Loss program, and I've blown past the 20-pound mark. And I've done it all while enjoying the summer and traveling on vacations. I love the PhD program because it's simple for me to understand and to activate. And quite frankly, because it works. I feel so much better about myself because I feel in control of my weight, and I get excited when I continue to see my progress. If you're someone who has struggled to lose weight, go online to myphdweightloss.com and check it out for yourself. Learn about the program, the coaching, and the guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers organization and fans, online at myphdweightloss.com.
Today's world is filled with many things that can push any of us to our limit. An upcoming move should not add to that list. When you choose Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. From the free estimate by a local professional moving consultant to the red carpet treatment you receive on the day of your move, their trained and dedicated team is there to ensure that they take the stress out of the process. Call 844-920-2966. Then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life.
Check, check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, seat 7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Experience the thrill at Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators. TennesseeAcura.com.
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. And it's also a vital service that provides important emergency information when your community needs it most. Tell Congress you need AM radio to stay in your car. Because when cell phones and the internet are down, this to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's like weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You have all the answers. This is a weak men, gutless men, and I hate to say it, I'm putting you in this category, the woke mob, because last night you said in your monologue, you read the story, changed the conclusion, you wanted to fire him, and you haven't even gathered the facts yet. And we do know the fact that nothing has changed in the facts from that report from when they gave a 2-week suspension until 2 days ago when they fired Fitzgerald.
How is that woke?
Enough. The only thing that's changed is your opinion, and that's not fair. And I'll tell you. Let me say why.
How am I a member of the woke mob for reading a story about systemic hazing at Northwestern and then just saying, yeah, they should fire the coach?
Because you came to your conclusion without gathering all the facts. And
that's what's woke?
You know what? Yes. Yeah, that's and everything wrong with our country right now. You want to come to your conclusion before you get to let's cancel this guy, let's fire him from his job, and then you have the audacity to say, you know what? But I'd rehire him somewhere else. I don't know where you stand on the issue because you're saying he's good enough to work somewhere else, but he's got to get fired for his job. And I just think that's a weak-minded thought.
There you go. That was last night on Sirius XM on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Caller mad about my Pat Fitzgerald take and called it woke. Now, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, Chad Withrow from Outkick will join us on the program like he normally does. So he's going to join us, normally joins us on Fridays. He's going to join us tomorrow on Thursday. And because it's Outkick, I think Chad Withrow will be the best judge of whether or not my Pat Fitzgerald take is, in fact, woke. Now, the one thing I will say, as we had a very spirited debate on the program as to what makes a sports take woke or not, I'm not sure we really came to a conclusion, other than the fact that it did sound like the guy who was on my side, the second caller called in to say that I wasn't listening to that guy because I was on my side, but the first caller apparently was on my side, but it did sound like he was leaning towards the idea that my Pat Fitzgerald take was woke, even though I'm not really sure how. So because that's now our standard, I think Caroline's decision to award Joe as the victor today in Jared versus Joe is a woke decision. And I'm just going to start using that word like that. Just things I don't agree with. I don't like your Pat Fitzgerald take. It's woke. And then maybe that'll get people to stop using it all the time to go after everybody with, oh, yeah, you said this. You're soft because you said that you don't like the All-Star Game pants one way or another, or whatever it may be. By the way, the texters in the text line are now going after the other texters in the text line who said you can't bet on the presidential election. They're all saying that you can, in fact, bet on the presidential election. So, again, you guys know more about this dark web and wokeness and everything else than I do. I just talk about the Titans and the Predators. That's all I got for you. Stillman and Company, we will continue with DeAndre Watch as we keep track of whether or not he will sign with the Titans, but the betting markets make it look that way. We'll see you tomorrow, too. 102.5, 106 for the game.